Warrior Lore. Chapter 1108. On the way to the vast building, Du Xiaofu appeared in a treasure-fighting battlefield. His black hair danced in the wind, and his eyes glowed with golden light. His aura was domineering. Many young men and women, as well as some middle-aged men, who were fighting for treasures, showed fear in their eyes when they saw the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. They started to retreat. Dragon 9 and the people from the 9 great tribes dared to kill the Demon King, so they did not dare to provoke him. Thunder Spirit Snow Mushroom. This is it. Du Xiaofu picked a stalk of Ganoderma that was covered with lightning in a cave. The rich energy could be felt from thousands of feet away. Multicolored light soared into the sky as if lightning was flashing and thunder was rumbling. Thunder Spirit Snow Mushroom was a rare treasure medicine. It could be used as an ingredient to refine origin venerable grade and above pills. Priceless was not enough to describe its value. Roar. After obtaining such a treasure medicine, Du Xiaofu was also smiling. Just as he was about to swallow it, the space in front of him suddenly fluctuated. The roars of beasts were endless. Hundreds of beasts rushed past the onlookers. They were many young men and women of the beast tribe. Some of them even transformed into their original forms. From the looks of it, these beasts had formed a huge alliance, forming an absolutely terrifying force. Thunder Spirit Snow Mushroom was also a treasure to the beast tribe. Hundreds of pairs of eyes stared at the Thunder Spirit Snow Mushroom in Du Xiaofu's hand. Their eyes were all burning red. Du Xiaofu, you and the young man have both been injured in the battle. I'm afraid you're at the end of your rope now. Give the Thunder Spirit Snow Mushroom to us, and we won't make things difficult for you. Giant White Wolf looked at Du Xiaofu and shouted. It was the leader. It was at the peak of the Nirvana realm. He was considered a middle-aged man in the beast tribe. He was the absolute king of the wolf tribe, the soul-devouring snow wolf. Do you think that I'm at your mercy now? Du Xiaofu let out a hollow laugh as he swallowed the lightning spirit snow mushroom and said in a calm tone, Come at me if you want to die. He's definitely an arrow at the end of its flight. He wants to consume the thunder spirit snow Ganoderma to recover, but he's pretending to be strong. He just consumed the thunder spirit snow Ganoderma, and the medicinal effects are still in his body. Swallowing this Du Xiaofu is equivalent to obtaining the thunder spirit snow Ganoderma. This person's body is also a treasure, and he even has dragon bones. The soul-devouring snow wolf roared. Greed was its nature. It was certain that Du Xiaofu had no choice but to directly consume the lightning spirit snow Zoisha. He had truly reached his limit, and this was the best opportunity for it to attack. If it missed this opportunity, there would be no next time. This Demon King Du Xiaofu also had a great treasure on him. Kill. As soon as the soul-devouring snow wolf roared, over 100 young beasts attacked in unison. Boom. Some of the demonic beasts at the front transformed into their mountain-like true forms and directly suppressed Du Xiaofu. They used their strongest attack right from the start, joining forces to form a destructive attack. They wanted to suppress Du Xiaofu to death. With over 100 extraordinary beasts attacking together, one could imagine how powerful they were. They also knew how terrifying Du Xiaofu was. Therefore, they didn't hold back at all. That terrifying beast energy and runes surged. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, and the surrounding rocks cracked open. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Evil creature. Du Xiaofu's complexion was cold. 2 golden lights shot out from his eyes. In an instant, dazzling mysterious runes arranged and condensed on his back. The golden wings of the Dapeng were activated. Boom. A tyrannical and fierce aura suddenly swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. The golden wings of the Dapeng on his back overflowed with flowing light, and a majestic light filled the air. It was as if the Dapeng had spread its wings and soared to the 9 heavens. Boom. The terrifying aura of over 100 beasts swept over and enveloped Du Xiaofu. Under that terrifying aura, the rocks around Du Xiaofu were shattered into fine powder. Dust and gravel filled the sky, and the ground cracked open. Huge rocks exploded and turned into fine powder. Sumeru illusion. Dapeng descends to the 9 heavens. The mysterious runes in his eyes were activated. Behind him, the Dapeng's golden wings activated. The Dapeng descends to the 9 heavens. Golden light bloomed in the sky, and the momentum was terrifying. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was like a true golden-winged rock that had descended, and he carried the domineering will of the golden-winged rock clan. He flapped his wings and swept through the sky, and he suppressed forcefully. Rumble. In such a terrifying battle, Du Xiaofu fought 100 by himself and swept through the surroundings, causing it to seem as if thunder was rumbling in midair while the glow of rough talisman markings that were gorgeous like fireworks, causing the entire sky to be covered in dazzling light. Behind the resplendent light, there was a shocking pressure. It was like destruction, and the surrounding heaven and earth trembled. Space was torn apart, and the attacks of over 100 beasts were destroyed like a hot knife through butter. Puchi. A large number of demonic beasts spat out blood. Some of the weaker demonic beasts were suppressed into a bloody mist. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and shock, especially under that terrifying aura. It was like a real dopping descending. They couldn't resist that pressure at all. Roar. Tigers roared, dragons roared, turtles cried, and sparrows cried. Accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder, an azure gold light filled the sky. At the same time, everyone saw the sky shatter, and a sword light wrapped in golden runes ruthlessly slashed at the soul-devouring snow wolf. Under this sword, the soul-devouring snow wolf's head was directly chopped off. Kill. Du Xiaofu slaughtered in all directions. Every time the sword light swept out, a huge demonic beast would be decapitated. It was simply unmatched. Many huge demonic beasts fell like meteorites. They heavily smashed into the ground, and huge craters were formed in the ground. Rumble. Du Xiaofu's killing intent had been ignited. The gigantic demonic beasts fell to the ground one after another, and the impact caused the ground to crack open in all directions, extending all the way to the distance. In the end, only a few of the hundreds of demonic beasts managed to escape with serious injuries. The rest were all killed by Du Xiaofu. It was shocking, and as usual, it made people tremble in fear. All the mystic bones, beast blood, and the most important treasures of the demonic beasts were slowly collected by Du Xiaofu. There were many onlookers around, and their eyes were red. However, no one dared to come forward to snatch it. They were all scared by Du Xiaofu. In this space, the elders of their sects were unable to protect them. After collecting everything and obtaining a huge harvest, Du Xiaofu then left. He flew towards the huge building, and it seemed that it wasn't far ahead. Along the way, Du Xiaofu saw too much blood in battles. These young extraordinary people of the Kyushu and the demon domain were all involved in a huge battle in order to fight for the inheritance of Jinlei Tensei. Countless people of the younger generation were peerless talents in the outside world. However, some of them died without even a sound. Finally, more and more people came from all directions. A large crowd of people was heading towards the huge building in the center. The huge continuous building was about to appear in front of them. This place is sealed. The higher you fly, the greater the pressure. The deeper you go, the greater the pressure. If you are not at the Nirvana Martial Emperor realm, it will be difficult to enter. Someone in the crowd cried out in surprise. Just outside the vast building complex, the surrounding sky had been completely sealed, and the void was full of restrictions and seals. The closer everyone got, the more they felt as if they were sinking into a swamp. Their speed was greatly reduced, and the pressure was greatly increased. Moving one's body took hundreds of times more effort than usual. What a powerful restriction. It's been so long, but it's still so magical. As expected of the mansion of Jinlei Tensei, Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked around. The void was filled with strange electric arcs. At this moment, the younger generation of the top forces had also arrived. Du Xiaofu searched around in the crowd and finally sensed Du Xiaoyao's aura. "Are you okay? Where's that person?" Just as Du Xiaofu was about to look for Du Xiaoyao had already appeared in front of him. Behind her were Tun Xing, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Scarlet Rock, and Blue Fantasy. "That person is very strong. I can't do anything to him," Du Xiaofu said. Looking around, many familiar figures appeared. Ninefold Spirit, Zhang Ruolin, John Doe, and the others were in front. Bailey Wuya, Yu Zheng Tongxian, and the others were also in front. The ones in the front were none other than the young men and women of the 8 great clans who were riding strange birds and beasts. Huang Linger. Not far away, Du Xiaofu saw the carriage again. Huang Ling-er's graceful figure appeared in the crowd. Her body was rippling with colorful light, and her graceful figure was faintly discernible. Chapter 1109. However, what made Du Xiaofu a little suspicious was that Huang Linger seemed to have just fought a great battle. Her body seemed to be injured, her aura in a mess, stained with blood. Not only that, Du Xiaofu carefully looked at the people around him, including Bailey Wuya, Yu Zheng Tongxian, and the younger generation of the 8 great families. They all had traces of injuries on their bodies, as if something had just happened here. What happened here? Du Xiaofu asked. Seeing that Du Xiaoqing and the little tiger were not injured, only then did he relax. We also just arrived not long ago. It is said that it is difficult to enter this place. Not long ago, a lightning rune swept out, and some people were destroyed. Those who were stronger were also injured, Tuxing said. They had not been here for long, so they had escaped that disaster. I finally found you. As the voice fell, Sima Muhan's beautiful figure flashed over, also seeming to have some light injuries. Looking at Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoqing, she asked, Little Qing, Du Xiaofu, are you all right on your way here? We are fine. Du Xiaoqing shook her head. She had not encountered any danger on her way here. You are injured? Du Xiaofu frowned. Sima Muhan had some injuries on her body, but her injuries should not be serious. It is good that you are fine. Sima Muhan nodded to Du Xiaoqing and did not let Du Xiaofu speak. Looking ahead, she said to Du Xiaofu, My injuries are not serious. I just suffered a backlash from the restrictions here. This should be Jinlei Tensei's residence. It is said that Jinlei Tensei had 3 treasures, a weapon, a body armor, and a treasure, but no one knows. There are also restrictions here, so it is very likely that the treasure is hidden in front of us, but it is difficult for us to enter now. Jinlei Tensei's treasure, if it was obtained by someone, it would be enough to dominate Kyushu. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's heart also faintly trembled. The weapon and body armor of an expert like Jinlei Tensei, if it was obtained by someone, what a great opportunity it would be. Following Du Xiaofu's words, a blood-curdling scream suddenly came from the front. It made one's hair stand on end, and all the young geniuses of the younger generation also had their hair stand on end. Here it comes again. The restrictions here are not stable, and those with low cultivation can't break in. Sima Muhan frowned, and runes suddenly burst out from her body. Du Xiaofu looked ahead with rapt attention and saw a large amount of lightning sweeping out. It was a large amount of lightning runes, but it looked like lightning. Some people tried to barge into the lightning runes, but they were instantly destroyed. The lightning runes even had a terrifying devouring power that could devour people. Whoosh! In front of the lightning runes, a figure suddenly swept out, and his body was wrapped in lightning runes. It was an extremely handsome young man, and he directly rushed into the lightning runes. How can he enter without being blocked by the lightning runes? Everyone was shocked that the young man could actually break into the lightning runes. It's Moksha. Du Xiaofu frowned. The young man who had just broken into the lightning runes was actually Moksha, who had fought with him not long ago. He could easily enter the lightning runes. At the same time, the lightning runes swept out, and Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit trembled. The silvernet soul devouring lightning in his Yuan spirit seemed to have sensed something and was eager to try. I understand now. Those are lightning runes, and they are the entry level of the lightning runes. If you want to obtain the inheritance of Jinlei Tensei, you must first comprehend the lightning runes. Once you comprehend the lightning runes, you will be able to enter the lightning runes. Du Xiaofu suddenly understood something and said to Sima Muhan, Du Xiaoyao and the others beside him. However, he felt the movement of the silver net soul swallowing lightning in his primordial spirit. A white lightning rune rushed out from between his brows, and his body rushed out under the pressure. Under the astonishment of the entire place, he crossed the younger generation of several large families and directly charged into the lightning rune. Demon King, Du Xiaofu also went in. Someone exclaimed. They didn't know how to break into the lightning runes. It was very likely that there were treasures and inheritances left behind by Jinlei Tensei inside. They absolutely couldn't let others get there first. Everyone immediately became anxious. Those lightning runes are a kind of lightning runes. Once you comprehend it, you will be able to enter. Huang Linger of the Phoenix clan said softly. She didn't hide it, and instead told everyone about it. Her graceful figure directly rushed into the lightning runes. Quickly comprehend the lightning runes. Countless outstanding talents of the younger generation in the surroundings immediately began to comprehend the lightning runes. These outstanding talents of the younger generation were like dragons and phoenixes among men. Regardless of whether they were from the Beast clan or the Human clan, how could their comprehension ability be weak when they came here? After a short while, the young men and women of the 8 great families, wrapped in lightning runes, began to break into the lightning rune space of the restriction. Subsequently, many outstanding talents of the younger generation of the major forces also rushed into the lightning runes one after another. They were no longer attacked by the lightning runes. I understand now. Sima Muhan also seemed to have understood something. Some lightning runes fluctuated in her lilac eyes, and then she also entered the lightning runes restriction. What a powerful restriction. I can't even get in. Du Xiaoyao was somewhat angry. Its innate ability was completely useless in front of the lightning runes restriction. When Du Xiaofu entered the lightning runes space, he found that the lightning runes were getting brighter and brighter. The pressure inside was also getting stronger and stronger. However, under the effect of the silver silk soul devouring lightning in his Yuan spirit, he didn't seem to encounter much resistance in this space. Moksha. After a moment, Du Xiaofu saw Moksha, who had just broken into the lightning runes restriction. He stood in the lightning runes, his eyes rippling with lightning as he stared intently at the lightning runes in front of him. He seemed to be comprehending something. Moksha was still obstructed inside. He needed to continue comprehending the lightning runes before he could move forward. Suddenly, Moksha turned his head. He felt Du Xiaofu looking at Du Xiaofu from afar. Their eyes met, and both of them had a complicated look in their eyes. Du Xiaofu felt a chill. He felt that Moksha was still obstructed inside and couldn't move forward. It was very likely that there were treasures or even inheritances left behind by Jinlei Tensei ahead. Du Xiaofu didn't attack Moksha. He knew that even if he attacked, the result would be a lose-lose situation. This was an inconclusive battle. The most important thing now was to go in and look for treasures. Hence, Du Xiaofu turned around and directly broke into the lightning runes with the help of the silver sieve soul devouring thunder. Seeing that Du Xiaofu had entered so easily, Moksha's eyes flashed with doubt. He then continued to comprehend the lightning runes. Du Xiaofu broke into the lightning runes. After a moment, Du Xiaofu walked out of a huge square. This huge square was surrounded by palaces on 3 sides. It was bigger and more majestic than any imperial palace. A large number of palaces stood tall, and there were many ferocious and mighty bronze statues around the square. The whole palace building was like a huge city. It was majestic, and there were lightning runes everywhere. The aura was ancient and destructive, as if it had passed through time and space and existed for tens of thousands of years. While Du Xiaofu was still in shock, a flowing light suddenly flashed across the square in front of him. A woman suddenly appeared in front of him. The woman was wearing a long dress that outlined her graceful curves. Her face was extremely ordinary. Although she wasn't ugly, she definitely wouldn't make people want to take a second look at her. You're finally here. Looking at Du Xiaofu, the woman's eyes trembled slightly. You are? Du Xiaofu looked at the woman who suddenly appeared and was subconsciously on guard. However, he felt a sense of déjà vu. He couldn't help but carefully size her up. Don't you recognize me? The woman smiled and looked at the purple-robed young man in front of her. Her eyes rippled and she sighed. No wonder you can't recognize me with my appearance. Chapter 11:10. With that, the woman handed a jade slip to Du Xiaofu and said, Uncle Tingxian left this for you. He has something to say to you. You need the power of the lightning martial vein in your body to open it. My father. Du Xiaofu was stunned when he heard this. He immediately took the jade slip from the woman's hand. It was a message jade slip, and it was not a simple message jade slip. Du Xiaofu discovered that there was a seal on it, and only a special method could open it. Chi la la, purple lightning rippled on his body. Lightning rippled from Du Xiaofu's palm. At the same time, the jade slip in his hand was covered in lightning and finally shattered. Chi. A blinding ray of light shot out from the jade slip. Then, as if it had opened its eyes, it directly shot into the space between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows. The dazzling light was so dazzling that Du Xiaofu subconsciously closed his eyes. Then, he sensed that he had appeared in a misty space. Space rippled, and there was a dense fog all around. There was also lightning rippling. A figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. It was a seemingly drunk middle-aged man. Under his messy hair, one could faintly see the curve of a smile on his lips. He gently brushed aside the messy hair in front of his forehead, and a handsome face immediately appeared. Father. Du Xiaofu gazed at the figure that had suddenly appeared in front of him. Although it was only a brief figure formed from a wisp of Yuan spirit energy and was extremely illusory, it still caused Du Xiaofu's heart to tremble. It was his drunkard father that he had come to find this time, the person closest to him. From the moment you entered Thunder Rolling Mountain, I more or less knew that you had come. Du Tingshuan's lips were very thin. He looked at Du Xiaofu with a pure and happy smile and said, "This is a message I left behind. There are some things that I can't tell you for the time being. Looking at the situation, you should have come into contact with legalism and know about your mother and sister's situation. This saves me the trouble of explaining." After a slight pause, Du Tingshuan's heroic eyes gradually became sharp, saying, "Overall, I purposely opened the Divine Thunder Manor. The news was also purposely spread by me. The goal was only to attract people from legalism, hoping to see your sister Xiaojing appear. However, I didn't expect Xiaojing to not be among the people from legalism this time." At this moment, the Divine Thunder Mansion had already opened. At this moment, I had already entered the true land of inheritance in Jinlei Tensei. I was afraid that it would take a long time before I could leave. What's left here now are only some extraordinary treasures and divine arts left behind by Jinlei Tensei. In this world, they are already precious treasures. As far as I know, Jinlei Tensei had 3 most extraordinary treasures, and one of them was left behind in this space. Even I couldn't find it, and it was left behind for the fated person. During this period, you have to be careful. Although the Heaven Knife sect, Ancient Fist sect, and other forces are not as powerful as legalism, they are still huge forces, especially the dragons. They are even more powerful than legalism. When I come out of seclusion, we will personally go to legalism to find your mother and sister. Our family must be reunited. In addition, Zijin is a good girl. She has a pure heart and outstanding intelligence. She seems to have obtained many great opportunities these years. Even if you don't want to, you have to take good care of her and send her safely back to Stone City. We father and son will have a chance to meet again." As his voice fell, Du Tingshuan's figure gradually disappeared, and the surrounding space also began to dissipate. "Zijin, what's the meaning of this?" Du Xiaofu was stunned, and then he opened his eyes. "You saw Uncle Tingxian, right? He's fine. He has already gone to the true land of inheritance." As Du Xiaofu opened his eyes, a clear and melodious voice sounded. The eyes of the woman in front of him seemed to be suffused with mist. Her face was enough to cause the downfall of countries like a fairy. Her long skirt outlined a graceful and moving arc, revealing an elegant and slightly charming aura. It was as if she was a completely different person from before. You're Zijin." Du Xiaofu was stunned. He looked at the girl in front of him, and then he suddenly regained his senses. Du Xiaofu finally recognized the girl in front of him. She was Yi Zijin. Back then, she was the eldest daughter of the Yi clan in Stone City, and all the youths in Stone City vied for her. When he went to Tianwu Academy, she also left Stone City to explore the outside world. He didn't expect that after so many years, Yi Zijin would become so beautiful. "You finally recognized me." Yi Zijin smiled, and her bright black eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. Ripples appeared in her eyes as she said, "I didn't expect the 3rd young master of the Du clan to become the famous demon king of Kyushu. Like father, like son." Hee. Du Xiaofu smiled. He looked at the girl in front of him and felt the aura on her body. It was as difficult to detect as Jiang Ruolin, Zhu Shui, and the others. Just like what his drunkard father said, Easy Jean seemed to have obtained many opportunities in the outside world. He then said, Uncle Yi instructed me to bring you back to Stone City if I see you. You haven't returned all these years, and he's worried about you. I'm unfilial and made my father worry. Hearing this, Easy Jean's fairy-like face revealed a bitter smile. She then said, It's time for me to go back. I wonder if there are any changes in Stone City? Stone City is still Stone City. If you go back, Uncle Yi will be very happy. Du Xiaofu smiled. Suddenly, before he finished speaking, his expression sank. He said to Easy Jean, Moksha is finally here. If there are any changes, you have to be careful. Who's Moksha? Easy Jean asked. Her black eyes looked at the space behind her that was covered in lightning runes. She could clearly feel that someone who had comprehended the mysteries of lightning had barged in. People from the devil religion. They're very strong. Du Xiaofu said simply. Moksha was the strongest person in his generation that he had ever met. Although he wasn't at a disadvantage, he definitely couldn't gain the upper hand. Whoosh! As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, Moksha's figure wrapped in lightning runes appeared. When Moksha appeared, his gaze swept over Du Xiaofu. After pausing for a while on Easy Jean's body, he looked at the magnificent palace in front of him. Whoosh whoosh! Soon, deep lightning wrapped around the lightning runes came out. After Moksha arrived, Huang Ling, of the Phoenix clan followed. Then, Zhou Yu and some other people from the 8 great families also arrived. Everyone landed on the square and marveled at the huge palace complex in front of them. Then, Yu Zheng Tongxian, Feng Wuxia, Hua Zimo, Bailey Wuya, and others, the top young generation of Kyushu's major forces arrived one after another. Dongli Qihuang, Zhu Chongling, Zhu Shui, Jiang Ruolin, Nameless, and others came from afar. In the crowd, there were also a few unfamiliar young men and women. Du Xiaofu secretly peeked at them with his mind. The aura hidden on their bodies was definitely not below Feng Wuxia, Bailey Wuya, and others. Xiaofu, brother. Sima Muhan, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, Blue Fantasy, Scarlet Rock, Little Tiger, Swallowing Star, and others came together and landed beside Du Xiaofu. Looking at Easy Jean beside Du Xiaofu, they were a little surprised, but then their eyes were attracted by the vast palace. Inside the vast palace, secret lightning runes began to spread out, and a mysterious aura spread out. Buzz buzz. In the space above, a large number of electric arcs swam, as if something was about to awaken. The aura was terrifying. The inheritance and treasures of Jinlei Tensei must be hidden here. This is the real residence of Jinlei Tensei, a young man said with trembling eyes. After being in Tianhuang mainland for so long, they finally arrived at the real residence of Jinlei Tensei. Swoosh swoosh. The aura surged and shook the space. Immediately, some people began to dash out like lightning towards the largest palace in front. Boom. Suddenly, the space trembled, and there was a terrifying aura. Someone attacked someone who was faster than him. Not wanting someone to beat him to it, he attacked the former. Bastard! The former was obviously not to be trifled with. How could anyone who could reach this place at the fastest speed be weak? Immediately, the former turned around and waved his hand with a cold look in his eyes. Let me go first. Huang Linger also attacked. Her body was wrapped in blazing 7-colored flames, and her target was Moksha, who was the first to dash out. Chapter 11:11. Phoenix Clan, you're not weaker than Dragon 9, but you can't stop me either. Moksha turned around. His eyes were cold and emotionless as he directly attacked Huang Linger. Your origin is mysterious, but your strength is strong. However, it's impossible for you to leave so easily. Huang Linger said in a low voice. She didn't dare to be careless. She could feel the tyrannical strength of her opponent, and there was also a dangerous aura around him. As she formed a hand seal, a blazing rainbow-colored flame swept out like a hurricane. It was like a sea of fire that wanted to devour Moksha. Break! Moksha shouted. His aura shook the void. Mysterious runes circulated around his body. He was protected by armor, and he was not afraid of the rainbow-colored flame. Huang Linger's eyes seemed to be on the verge of spreading flames. Her skin was covered in flames, and the power of the flames burned, turning into a pair of flaming phoenix wings on her back. A supreme beast aura erupted, directly suppressing Moksha. Boom! Moksha's body flickered with lightning. Thunder and lightning overflowed, confining Huang Linger in the space. The two of them exchanged blows, and in an instant, it was violent, shocking everyone. Bang, bang, bang. The 8 great families, the peak of Kyushu's younger generation, Yu Zheng Tongxian, Bailey Wuya, Feng Wuxia, and the others, were all tangled up in a chaotic battle in an instant. They all wanted to be the first to enter the huge palace, so that they could obtain the inheritance of Jinlei Tinsei and compete for the treasures. Those who block me will die. A young man from the 8 great families was covered in a runic armor. His whole body erupted with dazzling divine light. He held an extraordinary instrument in his hand and rushed forward with all his strength. Charge! At the same time, Du Xiaoyao seemed to have sensed something. The restriction here prevented it from using its innate talent. It could only rely on itself to fight for the treasures. It transformed into a golden ape, and the crimson horse monkey's body overflowed with golden light. It erupted with supreme divine might and attacked forward. Is that the crimson horse monkey? It's a legendary beast. How could it appear here? Some people were shocked when they saw Du Xiaoyao's crimson horse monkey's body and didn't dare to provoke it. The rarer the existence crimson horse monkey, the harder it was to provoke it. Hulala! Feng Wuxia made his move. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and frost filled the sky, freezing the void. Zhou Yu made his move. His opponent was a woman from one of the 8 great clans. The ancient auras from both of them suppressed a small square. Their auras erupted, and it was hard to tell who was superior. Tiger, Blue, Scarlet Rock, Du Shaoqing Star, and Star. Swallowing Star, they had already. Swing Star, they had Star Swing Star. God Dragon is his Yang God to Toulouse Yayan. You use you. You. Use you. Sima you Sima. Sima, 9, and she joined to fight. Whoosh, whoosh. There were constantly outstanding youths who comprehended those lightning rune restrictions. As soon as they landed, before they could understand what was going on, they were already swept into the fierce battle. Rumble. Roar. Everyone fought. This was a great battle. Before long, some people activated their meridian souls and activated their martial veins. Some beasts used their true bodies. This was a fierce battle. Space was locked down, and the void was pierced. Talisman inscriptions shone resplendently. Clanging sounds rang out as countless attacks collided. Sparks flew in all directions, as if trying to tear apart the void. Everyone was fighting. Anyone who approached would be surrounded by countless attacks from behind. No one could advance. Moksha and Huang Ling were in a deadlock. The strongest members of the 8 great families each held back. No one wanted the other to benefit. Kyushu, the Beast region, and the other strongest youths also attacked with all their strength. For the sake of fighting for the treasures left behind by Jinlei Tinsei, everyone was cold and ruthless. Everyone's eyes flashed. They wanted to be the first to obtain the greatest benefits. A great battle broke out. Blood spilled everywhere. Some of the top youths fell. Those who block me will die. Du Xiaofu also made his move. The golden rock wings behind his back fluttered, and the violet-golden heavenly tower appeared in his hand, erupting with his strongest battle prowess. No one dared to stop him, not even the people from the 8 great families. Brat, do you think no one can stop you? Someone shouted. An extraordinary youth blocked in front of Du Xiaofu. A faint mysterious aura surrounded him. In his hand was half a piece of dead wood. Although this piece of dead wood was withered, it was suffused with a green light. It exploded with a terrifying power that distorted space. The youth had golden hair and a scarlet robe. His eyes were gorgeous. He was the holy son of the great wheel sect, Dongli Chihuang. He and Du Xiaofu had many inexplicable grievances. Kill. Looking at Dongli Chihuang, Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. He directly slashed out with his sword. Not bad. But do you think you can deal with me like before? I have a treasure from my previous life, the heaven-shocking wood in my hand. You can't do anything to me, Dongli Chihuang shouted. He had something to rely on. He had already obtained the heaven-shocking wood from his previous life. He collided with Du Xiaofu's sword qi. Runes interweaved, releasing waves of resplendent runes to resist Du Xiaofu's sword qi. Du Xiaofu continued to attack. The hegemonic sword Dao was not only a sword move, but a martial art. It transformed into sword moves, endless and boundless. Dongli Chihuang had become very strong. His strength had exceeded Du Xiaofu's expectations. He actually didn't fall into a disadvantageous position, especially the piece of dead wood in Dongli Chihuang's hand. Its power was very terrifying. It was probably even stronger than the purple gold heavenly tower. The fierce battle continued. The top youths were constantly dying. Their bodies exploded in the void, and their meridians and souls disappeared. This war was way too cruel. Even the most elite of the younger generation from the outer realms who had entered this place were being killed one after another. The fierce battle was chaotic and cruel. It was hot and fiery. The crowd was getting closer and closer to the palace. Du Xiaofu and Dongli Chihuang were fighting. The Deadwood and the purple gold heavenly tower collided. Palm Prince and Fist Prince clashed. Electric arcs overflowed and mysterious runes filled the sky. However, the two of them also intentionally approached the palace, gradually approaching it. Soon, in the fierce battle, some people also rushed into the solemn and sacred palace. They wanted to obtain the treasures and inheritance left behind by Jinlei Tensei. In a huge palace, there were densely packed runes flashing. It was filled with an ancient aura. It made people's hearts tremble and their primordial spirits tremble. This is an amazing divine power. It was collected by Jinlei Tensei. Judging from the aura, this divine power is enough to shake Kyushu. Someone broke into the palace and saw the runes in the palace. The runes contained a great divine power. If one wanted to obtain it, he or she would have to comprehend it. The palace was also very strange. Once someone entered, it would immediately close. It was difficult for outsiders to enter. Several young men and women who were originally fighting appeared in the palace. They looked at each other and seemed to have reached a tacit understanding. Then, they put away their weapons and sat cross-legged to comprehend it. They wanted to see who would obtain the divine power left behind by Jinlei Tensei first. Then, many people entered different palaces. Unless they entered at the same time, others would not be able to break in. They would be blocked by restrictions. Some people came out with treasures and immediately continued to fight for them. The battle was endless. Soon, Du Xiaofu and Dongli Chihuang also arrived in front of one of the huge palaces. The ancient aura filled the air, causing the celestial qi in their bodies to stagnate. Their primordial spirits trembled, and their attacks were greatly affected. The two of them stopped and looked at each other coldly. Neither of them wanted the other to enter the palace. Puffed! In the fierce battle, at the entrance of a small palace, Scarlet Rock, who was just about to take advantage of the chaos, spat out blood. It was attacked by a young genius, and its huge body was continuously pushed back. It was difficult for it to be the opponent. Kill. The young genius did not give up and did not plan to stop. He wrapped himself in runes and wanted to kill Scarlet Rock. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. Without any hesitation, he gave up on the East mythical Scarlet Phoenix and appeared in front of Qi Peng like a ghost. A beam of sword light shot out, exploding with golden light, tyrannical and disdainful. Swish! The young man did not even have time to react before he was killed. His body was cut into pieces by the sword. Go in. Be careful. Du Xiaofu let Scarlet Rock enter the palace. He glanced around and saw that Dongli Chihuang had already entered the palace. Then, the palace's restrictions were activated and no one else could enter. The east-departing Crimson Phoenix had entered the largest and tallest palaces. The treasures and divine abilities left behind by the divine Thunder Heaven Sage would be even stronger. Scarlet Rock was grateful. It then flapped its wings and flew into the palace. The restrictions outside the palace were activated and no one else could enter. Rumble. The fierce battle was still going on. Some people came out with treasures and were immediately attacked by others. This made the battle even more intense. Blood spilled over the square. Chapter 11:12. Du Xiaofu watched as Moksha and Huang Linger entered the largest and most majestic halls. Blue Fantasy and Little Tiger also entered one of the halls at the same time. Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing had already disappeared. They seemed to have taken advantage of the chaos to enter the other halls as well. Du Xiaofu did not continue to attack. He stood in the air above the plaza and watched the younger generation of prodigies fight each other. Golden light rippled in his eyes as he seemed to have understood something. Cultivation lies in one's own body. Tempering lies in one's will. Legacies are ultimately left behind by others. Although treasures are good, they are ultimately auxiliary. They are not as strong as one's own body. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's expression revealed an extremely profound expression. He muttered softly, "The true legacy of the Jinlei Tensei has already been obtained by Father. Why should I still fight? Even if these mystiques and treasures all belong to me, so what? Even if the true legacy of the Jinlei Tensei is given to me, it will only affect my own path. Could it be that my path is inferior to the Jinlei Tensei?" Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up as he watched the younger generation of prodigies fighting each other. They were chasing after the path left behind by others in such a frenzied and intense manner. Even if they obtained it, although they would be able to obtain great benefits in a short period of time and surpass their peers and soar into the sky, was this really the best path? According to what Du Xiaofu knew, the younger generation of the 9 great clans was definitely not the strongest. They had not come to fight for the Jinlei Tensei's legacy and had instead given this opportunity to some of their peers. They probably also understood something. I have the path of the golden-winged great rock. My physical body has yet to reach its strongest state, and my mystiques have yet to reach their limits. My meridian spirit has yet to be improved and further comprehended. There are countless mystiques in the ancient barren space that can be comprehended. Why should I chase after the path of others? Du Xiaofu asked himself as his gaze swept over his peers who were fiercely fighting each other in the plaza. Du Xiaofu was deeply moved by the fact that countless geniuses had been severely injured or perished. I have my own path. Why should I fight for it? Someone else's path will always be someone else's. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. The golden rock wings on his back retracted, and the violet gold celestial palace was absorbed into the celestial palace to be nourished. His violet robes fluttered, and after that, he stepped into the air and swaggered away. He didn't even glance at the gigantic palace. In the crowd, Easy Jean did not fight for it either. She had been sizing up Du Xiaofu from afar. As she watched Du Xiaofu leave through the lightning rune restriction at the entrance, her dark eyes lit up. She murmured softly, "If you can't fight for it, you'll be mediocre. If you fight for it, you'll be an emperor. If you don't fight for it, you'll be supreme." Uncle Tingxian, you're worried that he'll fight for it. Don't worry. As Easy Jean finished speaking, her beautiful figure also touched the ground and silently left. In the ancient palace, the walls, stone pillars, and halls were all engraved with mysterious runes. They flickered with flowing light and rippled with an ancient aura that made people tremble. Moksha's figure appeared in this palace. He looked around and murmured softly, "An ancient mystique from ancient times. It's earth-shattering, but it won't affect my path. I can comprehend it." As he finished speaking, Moksha began to sit cross-legged and comprehend it. In an ancient palace not far away, many lifelike mythical birds were engraved on the huge stone walls. Runes flickered, and it was as if there was a supreme aura permeating the air and attacking the primordial spirit. Huang Ling looked at everything within the stone walls of the palace. Her eyes surged with joy. She murmured softly, "I didn't expect Jinlei Tensei to actually possess a long-lost mystique of the phoenix race." The battle in the square began to gradually die down. Although it was still rather intense, many top figures had already entered different palaces to comprehend various mystiques. Some people had obtained precious treasures and continued to participate in the battle in secret. Within the lightning runes, there were still countless young people trapped within and unable to enter the square in front. Du Xiaofu appeared outside the lightning runes and flew away. He did not want to fight for anything else. He had his own path to walk. After an unknown period of time, Du Xiaofu appeared in an extremely hidden canyon. This canyon was vast and crisscrossed. In the depths of the canyon, there was a modeled ancient palace that stood tall. This place was extremely hidden. It was also the place where Du Xiaofu and Moksha had fought. Du Xiaofu wanted to find a hidden place to comprehend his path, so he thought of this place. The ancient palace was covered in dust. There were traces left behind by the passage of time everywhere. Du Xiaofu entered the palace. Back then, in this palace, Du Xiaoyao had only found a few Dao artifacts and was unwilling to give up. Du Xiaofu once again sized up this modeled palace. When he first came here, he seemed to have felt something. It was extremely illusory. Later on, when Du Xiaofu carefully probed, he did not feel anything. I need some peace and quiet. I want to obtain the inheritance of Jinlei Tensei. I almost gave up my own path. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He still had some lingering fears. During this period of time, he had become more and more impetuous to the point that he almost gave up his own path to obtain the inheritance of Jinlei Tensei. And now, Du Xiaofu was glad that he had sobered up. He would rather have those treasures fought over by others than come to this hidden and quiet place to have some peace and quiet. Du Xiaofu was deeply moved when he thought of the countless elites of the younger generation who had fallen in Tianhuang mainland during this period of time. Some of the experts of the older generation had also fallen in order to obtain the inheritance and benefits. With the appearance of Moksha, Huang Linger was probably not much weaker than Moksha. There was also Dongli Chihuang, who was as strong as he was now. In the final fight for the treasures in the square, there were still a few extraordinary individuals who had rushed out and displayed terrifying strength. These people were all shocking to Du Xiaofu. Among the 9 great families, the strongest of the peak generation had definitely not appeared yet. Experts of the same generation are as numerous as clouds. I have not truly reached the peak. Rather than fighting for treasures and coveting the inheritance of others, I might as well walk my own path. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself as if he was examining himself. Rather than fighting for treasures, he might as well improve himself. At this moment, alone in this palace, Du Xiaofu gradually calmed down. He could feel that he had lost his way during this period of time. He had lost his original intention and almost abandoned his own path. Thus, Du Xiaofu decided to properly comprehend in this ancient place for a period of time while waiting for Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Scarlet Rock, and the others to come out. Inside the palace, there was an extremely ordinary praying mat that Du Xiaoyao had thrown away. Du Xiaofu picked it up and sat cross-legged in the main hall. He began to adjust himself, intending to properly comprehend everything that had happened to him. Meridian Spirit, the Great Rock's abilities, the Tyrannical Sword Way, the Tyrannical Fist Way, the Stars Profound, various beast abilities, and the Tao of Talismans. All of these required time to comprehend. Any one of these abilities could shock an entire region. Du Xiaofu's comprehension ability no longer needed to be proven. Ever since he left the Stone City, he had been leading the way, suppressing his peers in the Middle Continent in the Sealed Land. At this moment, on Tianhuang mainland, Du Xiaofu had killed Dragon 9 and Legalism's Han Ming. This had already shocked Kyushu and caused the various great families to tremble. In the quiet ancient palace, Du Xiaofu gradually immersed himself in his own comprehension. His body was wrapped in golden light, and his domineering aura was intimidating. Meridian Spirit, the Stars Profound, the Tyrannical Fist Way, various beast abilities. All of these required Du Xiaofu to carefully comprehend and comprehend. Just like this, time slowly passed. Behind Du Xiaofu, the image of the great rock glistened with golden light and flapped its wings as it soared into the sky. From time to time, there was a twinkle of starlight, as if he was in the Milky Way. From time to time, the mountain meridian spirit would appear, with purple flames rolling. Cultivation knew no time. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Du Xiaofu, who was completely immersed in his own comprehension, did not know that many changes had taken place outside. Not long after he entered into his comprehension, many people began to be pushed out of the divine thunder manor. In the end, even the top young generation were all pushed out, and the people of the 8 great families were no exception. These youths were pushed out, and some were secretly happy. They had obtained great benefits. There were also some who were secretly disappointed. They had not even broken through the lightning rune restriction and had been trapped inside without any gains. In the end, the vast and continuous palace within the divine thunder manor began to collapse. The runes shattered, and monstrous lightning wreaked havoc, bringing with it destruction. It dyed the entire sky, causing people's hearts to tremble. The huge divine thunder manor finally closed, as if it had disappeared into thin air. Is there the inheritance of Jinlei Tensei in the divine thunder manor? If there is, who obtained it? Did you notice that Du Tingxian has disappeared? He actually didn't appear again. Chapter 11:13. Outside the dimension where the divine thunder manor disappeared, everyone was discussing. Why don't I see that fella? Will he be okay? Sima Muhan was worried within the ancient heaven sects group. She went to the 7-star hall to search, but to no avail. The dimension of the divine thunder manor had already closed and many people had benefited from it. However, Du Xiaofu did not appear, causing Jin Qingchun, Xiahou Fenglei, Jiamo Chen, and the others to be worried. 3 days later, outside the dimension of the divine thunder manor, most of the Kyushu experts had already left. Everyone who had benefited from it had also left in a hurry. Little Qing, we can't stay outside for too long. It's time to go, Zhou Yu said to Du Xiaoqing. They had accompanied Du Xiaoqing and waited for 3 days. Go, your brother will be fine, Jin Qingchun said to Du Xiaoqing. Okay. Du Xiaoqing nodded. She knew that there was not much use for her to wait here. She wanted to go to Sister Xiao Luo and increase her strength so that she could help her brother in the future. I also want to go back. There are also many benefits for me there, Du Xiaoyao said to Zhou Yu while standing on Du Xiaoqing's shoulder. It was rare for Du Xiaoyao to be so serious. Recently, Du Xiaoyao had also felt the pressure of the outside world. Although she had terrifying talent, being chased by Dragon 9 had deeply stimulated her. She wanted to go to that clan to properly comprehend and cultivate. You also want to go. Hearing Du Xiaoyao's words, a delicate and pretty girl instantly rolled her eyes at Du Xiaoyao. Once this scourge returned, who knows how much trouble she would cause. It's not a problem if you want to go. The elders of the clan have also mentioned that you are welcome to go back and take a look. Zhou Yu nodded at Du Xiaoyao. This time, when he went out, the elders in the clan had secretly warned him that if he met this redbone horse monkey, he could invite him back to take a look, and he had to be more respectful. Although Zhou Yu was puzzled as to why the elders of the clan were so concerned about the redbone horse monkey, he did not dare to ignore the words of the elders. Little tiger, come with us. You can study and cultivate in there, Du Xiaoyao said to Little Tiger. Why hasn't Xiaofu come out yet? He's always full of twists and turns. In the Manchu, Gu Qingyang was also worried. Back in the sealed ancient land, he was scared but not in danger. Even when his heart was dug out, he was fine. What else can trap him? Maybe he's found a great opportunity now. The venerable Golden Peng was much more relieved. He looked around and said, "It's been so long. We have to return to the central continent. Some disciples have found opportunities and need to go back and digest them." Soon after, the disciples of the ancient heaven sect left. There were fewer and fewer people on the Tianhuang mainland, and the peace of the past gradually returned. The disciples of the 7-star hall also left a few days later. The space of the divine thunder manor had disappeared without a trace. There was no point in waiting. In the ancient and quiet palace, Du Xiaofu was still immersed in comprehension. He carefully comprehended all the mysteries, including the meridian spirit, the tyrannical sword Dao, the tyrannical fist Dao, the great golden-winged Peng Dao, and the mysteries of lightning. Du Xiaofu had gained a lot of comprehension from the previous battles and battles. Because of that, he had gained a lot of benefits. In the silent space, time was silent. Du Xiaofu did not know that the ancient palace he was in had already begun to change silently. Runes began to spread out from the inside of the ancient palace. Electric arcs spread, and the surroundings turned into nothingness. Even the ordinary praying mat beneath his knees was now filled with lightning. Runes flickered, as if something was about to bloom. It released an aura that came from the ancient times, from the world. Sitting cross-legged, Du Xiaofu was completely unaware of all this. He was still immersed in comprehension. However, for no reason, Du Xiaofu's body was covered with talisman markings that activated the lightning martial vein. His body was covered with lightning, like numerous purple spirit snakes that coiled around his body. The sky was filled with lightning. Du Xiaofu's mind appeared in an unfamiliar place for no reason. It was a huge sea of lightning. Through the sea of lightning, Du Xiaofu's mind saw a baby born in a small clan. However, the birth of the baby caused lightning to fall from the sky. The baby grew up and fought against experts of various races, the beast race and the demon race. He was invincible all the way until one day, he seemed to be besieged by countless experts and died. In the sea of lightning, there was the life of another person, including the cultivation experience of that expert, the comprehension of the thunder profound, and the state of mind of the breakthrough. All of this made Du Xiaofu immersed himself in it and unable to extricate himself. He carefully savored, comprehended, and consumed it as if he had experienced that life himself. This kind of comprehension improved one's state of mind the most. It was as if he suddenly had the memories and comprehension of his previous life. Moreover, it was the memories left behind by a terrifying expert that could make the world tremble. The memories and comprehension were too huge, making it difficult for Du Xiaofu to consume them. It would take a long time. In this kind of comprehension, some cultivation bottlenecks, especially the bottlenecks and problems of the thunder profound, were easily solved by Du Xiaofu. He had a feeling of enlightenment and had a huge harvest. 1 month, half a year, 1 year. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu had been immersed in this kind of comprehension for 1 year. Du Xiaofu was completely immersed in it. It was as if he had experienced reincarnation and the passage of time. Chi. When Du Xiaofu regained his senses, an illusory figure of lightning suddenly appeared in his mind. It was a burly man wrapped in lightning. His body was not muscular, but extremely slender. However, it gave people a feeling of power impact. In particular, the burly man's eyes were like 2 seas of lightning rippling. His hair fluttered behind him, as if 3,000 electric arcs were flowing. I didn't expect that there would really be someone who could reach this step. He only wanted to walk his own path. Everything I left behind was not in vain. The illusory figure of lightning spoke. The power rippling from his body made the surrounding space tremble for no reason, as if it was submitting to him. The illusory figure's eyes were like a sea of lightning, as if he was looking directly at Du Xiaofu's mind. He said, "This is a thought that I left behind. After a long time, I will disappear and turn into nothingness. I have left behind 2 inheritances in my mansion. Someone has already obtained the inheritance of my original body. He is the best candidate that I have chosen, the genius of the thunder profound. You have also obtained my approval, so you will receive my second inheritance." The illusory figure paused for a moment before continuing. "The second inheritance is not my original body's inheritance. I don't want anyone to walk my path and step on my footsteps. It is too difficult to surpass me. Therefore, I hope to find someone who can persevere on his own path. You are that person. The inheritance that you will receive will be the proof of my life's comprehension. It will be your reference. You still need to walk your own path. As for how high you can reach in the future, it will depend on you." As soon as he finished speaking, the lightning figure left as quickly as it came. Then, it disappeared. Chi. When Du Xiaofu's consciousness emerged from the sea of lightning, he opened his eyes. 2 bolts of lightning shot out from his clear pupils. They were purple gold and resplendent, like 2 purple gold suns rising into the sky. The ancient palace around him flashed with lightning arcs. Could that be Jinlei Tensei? Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. The illusory figure in his mind should be Jinlei Tensei, who had existed since ancient times. A thought that had not perished since ancient times. How powerful was that? It was just a thought. So, that was Jinlei Tensei's life. Du Xiaofu understood. What he had obtained was Jinlei Tensei's comprehension. This benefit was too great. This was Jinlei Tensei's lifetime comprehension. Although it had been a long time and seemed to be incomplete, it was still priceless. Chapter 11:14. If news of this were to spread, it would be enough to make those martial domain realm experts fight to the death. Thank you, Senior. Du Xiaofu stood up. He had passed on his life's comprehension to him, and the person he had passed on his inheritance to seemed to be his drunkard father. He deserved a great bow. Thus, Du Xiaofu respectfully bowed 3 times towards the ancient hall on the praying mat. He was neither servile nor overbearing, but his eyes were filled with reverence. Not bad, kid. You are not an ungrateful person, nor are you a spineless person. Today, I will give you another item. My protective armor and weapon have been left in the inheritance. I hope that someone can bring them to greater heights, and one day, they will resound in this world. However, there is one more item that is not in my inheritance. Obtaining it will not affect your path, especially when it comes to the mysteries of thunder and lightning. Although it cannot be used as an offensive item, it can protect the primordial spirit from destruction. The 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian has accompanied me for my entire life. Today, I will let it find a new master. As for whether you can make it willingly acknowledge you as its master, that will depend on your own ability. The 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian is not something an ordinary person can obtain. As the familiar voice sounded, Du Xiaofu was stunned. Bzzz. Before Du Xiaofu could regain his senses, the ordinary praying mat under his feet suddenly flashed with electric arcs. Subsequently, a lightning glow rushed out from the praying mat under Du Xiaofu's stunned gaze. It was just like a flower blooming. In an extremely short period of time, it transformed into a lotus flower that was half a meter in diameter. Du Xiaofu's face was also filled with astonishment at this sudden turn of events. After a while, Du Xiaofu regained his senses. His gaze immediately fell on the lotus flower under his feet. It was a purple lotus flower with electric arcs rippling on it. It had a total of 9 leaves. The lotus flower was sparkling and translucent. It was formed from the most perfect purple spirit jade in the world. It was naturally formed and magnificent. However, the purple electric arcs rippling on the lotus flower were enough to make one's primordial spirit tremble. Within the purple lightning lotus, there was a lotus platform. It was flat, smooth, and spotless. It emitted a mist and had an ancient aura. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the energy in the surroundings was fluctuating when this purple lightning lotus appeared. This purple lightning lotus was devouring the surrounding natural energy. The purple lightning lotus floated in the air, supporting Du Xiaofu's body. An electric arc surged and swept towards Du Xiaofu as if it wanted to devour Du Xiaofu. The energy fluctuation made Du Xiaofu's essence soul feel numb. 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian. It wants to leave. Du Xiaofu was shocked. This 9 Transformations God Lei Lian seemed to want to break free from him and leave, not wanting to be bound by him. Acknowledge me as your master. When Du Xiaofu heard this, he knew that an ordinary person would not be able to obtain the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian. Immediately, his body fluctuated with lightning and thunder surged out, trying to bind the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian. However, what Du Xiaofu did not expect was that as soon as the lightning approached the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian, it was immediately devoured. It did not affect the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian at all. Instead, it made the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian struggle rapidly. Boom! The 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian's aura exploded, causing the surrounding space to churn like boiling water. It continuously released a terrifying power of thunder and lightning. The power of thunder and lightning made Du Xiaofu tremble and numb when he touched it. It was enough to easily destroy an ordinary martial honorable. Du Xiaofu was not an ordinary martial honorable. At this moment, the thunder martial vein in his body suddenly fluctuated and covered his body. Then, it began to devour the power of thunder and lightning. Then, the thunder martial vein surged out from Du Xiaofu's body and immediately covered his body. At the same time, it enveloped the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian, which was trying to escape, and suppressed it. Qi. At this moment, the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian turned into a dazzling purple lightning and exploded like a bomb. Finally, it swept into Du Xiaofu's forehead and rushed into the Naiwen Palace in his mind. Qilal. As the 9 Revolutions God Lei Lian surged into the Naiwen Palace, the silver silk soul-devouring lightning shot out from Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit like a silver sun. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's spiritual roots were densely packed in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace. They were dazzling and bursting out like a spider web. Feeling the aura of the silver silk soul-devouring lightning, the 9 revolutions God Lei Lian rotated in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace. The aura that spread out seemed to be somewhat similar to the aura of the silver silk soul-devouring lightning. The 9 revolutions God Lei Lian felt the aura of the silver silk soul-devouring lightning, and for some reason, it began to stop. Under the restraint of the thunder martial vein on the outside and Du Xiaofu's spiritual roots on the inside, it gradually stopped struggling. Qi. Du Xiaofu took the opportunity to use his primordial spirit to recognize him as its master and placed a primordial spirit imprint on the 9 revolutions God Lei Lian. Subsequently, the 9 revolutions God Lei Lian was recognized as its master and rotated in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit shadow then sat cross-legged on the 9 revolutions God Lei Lian. Bursts of purple thunder and lightning overflowed and turned into dense talisman scripts that swept out. Those were the profound of thunder and lightning. There was also a surge of surging energy that continuously surged into Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. It seemed to merge with the silver silk soul devouring lightning and could strengthen the primordial spirit. For a time, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged again and immersed himself in comprehending the profound of thunder and lightning on the 9 revolutions God Lei Lian. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was absorbing the surging energy and could rise in a rather fast state. Time passed again. During this period of time, Du Xiaofu continued to immerse himself in comprehending the lightning ultimacy. This kind of comprehension made time seem to disappear in front of Du Xiaofu again. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed quietly. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed since the battle for the Divine Thunder Mansion in Tianhuang mainland. In these 2 years, many of the younger generation who had benefited from the Divine Thunder Mansion rose up and their strength improved by leaps and bounds. In particular, the 12 divine heroes were even more famous in Kyushu. Yu Zheng Tongxian of the Heavenly Music sect in Yinzhou, Bailey Wuya of the Golden Spear sect in Ningzhou, Feng Wuxia of the Snow City in Yuzhou, and the rest of the 12 divine heroes were already far ahead of their peers. Dongli Qihuang of the Middle Continent was also one of the 12 divine heroes. In these 2 years, he had also shone brightly in the Middle Continent. It was said that Dongli Qihuang and Du Xiaofu were already evenly matched in the battle in the Divine Thunder Mansion. Furthermore, he had benefited greatly from the Divine Thunder Mansion. In addition, he was an expert of the Great Luan sect's Samsara secret technique and had the state of mind and profound of thunder from his previous life. People guessed that he had already surpassed Du Xiaofu. After all, the higher one's cultivation level was, the more difficult it was to comprehend one's state of mind and profound of thunder. In this aspect, Dongli Qihuang had a huge advantage. This was also the terrifying part of the Samsara secret technique. The fact that the Demon King Du Xiaofu had not appeared for a long time had also caused a lot of discussion. However, not many people thought that the Demon King Du Xiaofu would really die in the Divine Thunder Mansion. After all, the Demon King Du Xiaofu had created too many miracles over the years. In the Tianhuang mainland, Du Xiaofu had killed the dragons, Dragon 9. Some people had once guessed that the dragons would come to the Middle Continent to destroy the desolate country in the 7-star hall behind Du Xiaofu. However, 2 years had passed and the dragons had not appeared in the Middle Continent, nor had they gone to the 7-star hall, let alone the desolate country. The dragons are in the 4 seas and Kyushu is the territory of the human race. If the dragons come here rashly, they will naturally cause the reclusive powerhouses of the human race to fight back. Ordinary young dragons are probably afraid of the Demon King Du Xiaofu. Some people were discussing this matter. The dragons were roaming the 4 seas, but Kyushu was definitely not a place where they could come as they pleased. Otherwise, the dragons would have probably been active in Kyushu a long time ago. In the desolate country, it had been more than 2 years since Du Xiaofu unified the 10 nations. Under the protection of the Medicine King Yi Woming, Morong Yuruwa, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Li Shui, Han Xian, and the others, the desolate country had long become a well-deserved nation. With many powerhouses guarding the desolate country, no one dared to invade it again. Han Province was a vast expanse of land. Many famous experts of the world had once walked out from there. In the center of Han Continent, there was a mysterious place where the other 8 continents above Kyushu used to exist as well. They were called the Sealed Lands. The rumors were the same. A long time ago, in ancient times, the world was in turmoil, and living beings were slaughtering each other. That was the end of the world. One day, a supreme powerhouse descended and sealed the battlefield, leaving behind a divine thunder cauldron to suppress the evil spirits on the battlefield. Chapter 11:15. However, the ancient land seal could only be opened once every 30 years, allowing people to enter and cleanse the place of evil beings and evil beings. At the same time, they could obtain endless opportunities. Once the evil beings in the sealed land reached a peak, the seal would shatter. When that happened, the entire Hanzhou would be plunged into misery and suffering, turning into a demonic realm. Other than when the sealed land was opened, the sealed land was desolate and eerily quiet at other times. Outside the sealed land of Hanzhou, there were desolate thunder mountains that flickered faintly with lightning, exuding a chilling aura. At night, the moon was dark and the stars were bright. The night sky was cloudless, and the Milky Way was resplendent. Suddenly, dark clouds gathered in the depths of the night sky, blotting out the sun in an extremely short amount of time. Rumble. The silent night sky suddenly shook as if there was an earthquake. In the sky, the rolling dark clouds also seemed to split open a huge crack, illuminating the dark night land that was shrouded in dark clouds. Finally, a pair of huge eyes appeared. It was only a pair of eyes, but as the giant eyes appeared, an oppressive evil aura swept over, and a murderous aura howled like a gale. Walala! Black fog filled the sky. The pair of eyes seemed to be the evilest thing in the world, able to make all the evil spirits in the 9 underworlds and the 18 layers of hell submit to them respectfully. It was as if all the evil aura in the world had gathered at that moment. This pair of terrifying eyes, dark golden pupils, slowly opened, without any signs of life. However, as soon as the eyes opened, a large area of the land below instantly cracked. The crack spread, the lake surged, and the tides rose. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Rumble! Purple gold lightning suddenly emerged from the cracked land, and then a demonic hand reached out from the underground abyss. Dark clouds rolled over, and the demonic hand tightly grasped a 3-legged cauldron covered in purple gold lightning arcs. It looked like a peerless evil demon that had walked out from the ground. The demonic hand and the demonic eyes converged in the air, then disappeared in the sky. The evil aura that shrouded the sky also disappeared into the depths of the sky. Hanzhou also began to return to normal, and the moon was dark and the stars were bright again. On this night, Ning Prefecture, Lan Prefecture, Shang Prefecture, Yun Prefecture, Yu Prefecture, and Wan Prefecture also had their evil qi surging to the heavens. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled on the sealed grounds of each prefecture. In each prefecture, a pair of devil hands, a pair of devil legs, a devil body, a devil head, and a 12-leaf black lotus appeared. Devil hands, devil legs, devil body, devil head, and a 12-leaf black lotus wrapped around a 3-legged cauldron that was crackling with purple lightning. The sealed land was revealed. Demonic energy overflowed into the heavens, and countless evil spirits gushed out. They appeared in a frenzy, and the cries of ghosts and deities resounded in all directions. In the Thunder Continent, the moon broke through the clouds and appeared. The moon was dark and the stars were bright. Specks of starlight filled the sky and softened the earth. Silver veils danced in the wind, moving with the wind. It was a beautiful sight. Then, in the middle of the night, dark clouds suddenly gathered in the sky above the sealed land of the Thunder State. Then, a pair of demonic eyes appeared in the sky, and a monstrous evil aura gathered. Rumble! In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Around the demonic eyes, a pair of devil hands, a pair of devil legs, a devil body, a devil head, and a 12-leaf black lotus with a diameter of several dozen feet appeared. Each of them was holding a 3-legged cauldron. Purple lightning flashed, but it couldn't break free. When the sealed land appeared, a lightning figure appeared. It was somewhat illusory and seemed weak. However, it was covered in demonic energy. It wrapped around a 3-legged cauldron, and the tides in the surroundings rose. The earth shook, the mountains moved, and the rivers flowed in reverse. The devil hands, devil legs, devil body, and devil head were closed. They gathered on the 12-leaf black lotus and reformed. In the end, they formed a majestic figure that was covered in demonic energy. When the last pair of devil eyes fell into the eyes of the devil head, a devil body completely appeared. All of a sudden, something in the world seemed to have been awakened. Rumble. The earth trembled and let out a low rumble. In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Dark clouds rolled. It was as if countless ferocious beasts were roaring and howling as they charged out from the dark underground. Dark clouds gathered, and the sky and earth turned dark. The illusory body of the lightning bolt then rushed into the space between the eyebrows of the lightning figure. In the next instant, the devil opened its eyes. Its dark golden eyes rippled, and there was no sign of life in them. However, at this moment, it seemed as though it was summoning all the evil spirits in the world to submit to it. The black lotus shone brightly. Black runes swirled around it, and it was filled with a destructive aura. Lu Xiaoyu, Long Xian, you can't trap me. The devil spoke to the heavens. Its voice was low, and it seemed as though it came from the depths of hell. Endless demonic energy gathered in the surroundings. It seemed as though the devil wanted to turn Thunder Province into a devil's domain. Then, the devil forcefully grabbed the 8 3-legged cauldrons and left on the 12-leaf black lotus. Woo, 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 woo. In the sealed land, a murderous aura filled the sky. Evil spirits surged out from the sealed land. Countless evil spirits rushed out from the sealed land. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Evil spirits filled the sky. The continuous mountain range was filled with mist. It was like a paradise. Mist lingered around the mountain peaks. There were extraordinary spiritual herbs everywhere. The great calamity is coming. This is the will of the heavens. No one can stop it. A clear voice came from the mountain peak. A plain-clothed woman looked up at the sky. This plain-clothed woman was very beautiful. She looked like she was in her 40s. She wore a plain-colored palace dress. She was simple and elegant, and she had a natural noble aura. A ray of light shot over. Then, it flew in front of the beautiful woman and turned into a jade slip. The beautiful woman took the jade slip. Her eyes flickered slightly. There were a total of 4 names on the jade slip. When one of the names appeared, her eyes lit up. Then, ripples appeared in her eyes. After a moment of silence, the beautiful woman looked up at the sky. She held the jade slip in her hand for a while. Finally, she formed a hand seal and left a name on the jade slip. Then, she crushed the jade slip and it disappeared in midair. Evil spirits are born. Kyushu is in chaos. The great calamity is coming. Heaven and earth will die. As the jade slip disappeared, a faint sigh could be heard in the sky. In the ancient palace, Du Xiaofu was surrounded by lightning. The energy of heaven and earth filled the air and gathered around the palace. The energy of heaven and earth flowed into Du Xiaofu's glabella and finally gathered in his Naiwan palace. Du Xiaofu's soul sat on the Divine 9 Revolutions Lei Lian in his Naiwan palace. The Silvernet soul-devouring thunder absorbed the soul energy from the Divine 9 Revolutions Lei Lian, strengthening his soul. The energy from the Divine 9 Revolutions Lei Lian made Du Xiaofu's soul feel like it was wrapped in warmth. As his soul strengthened, the comfortable feeling in his soul made Du Xiaofu feel indescribably comfortable. After an extremely long period of time, Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace finally emitted a series of ripples that grew more and more intense. Walala! In the end, an undetectable ripple silently emanated from Du Xiaofu's glabella. It rushed towards the door of the ancient palace and spread across the valley. Boom! As the ripples spread out, the energy of heaven and earth in the valley around the ancient palace began to boil like boiling water. In Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace, His soul and the divine 9 revolutions Lei Lian were tightly pressed together. As the energy of heaven and earth gathered, the soul and the divine 9 revolutions Lei Lian were tightly connected. The energy of heaven and earth grew stronger and stronger. The energy had already reached a terrifying level. Bang! Finally, a low muffled sound came from the ancient palace. The energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings exploded, causing the ancient palace to shake and tremble. An invisible energy swept out from Du Xiaofu's glabella. A vast amount of soul energy then shot up into the sky from the ancient palace like a stormy sea. He seems to be a perfect 8-star talisman master. The power of his soul is too strong. In the valley, there was a beautiful woman. Her fairy-like face was filled with surprise. Feeling the vast and vigorous soul energy, a look of shock flashed across the woman's black eyes. That terrifying soul energy was definitely not something that should appear on a perfect 8-star talisman master. Chapter 11:16. Walala, dazzling white divine light floated in the sky, with silver electric arcs flowing in the sky. Vast and majestic primordial spirit energy swept out like a storm. If there was an 8-star spiritual talisman master present, he would probably tremble under this terrifying primordial spirit energy. This primordial spirit energy was too extraordinary. It contained an ancient aura, accompanied by the silver net soul devouring lightning, and a terrifying spiritual root pressure. What a powerful primordial spirit! His physical body is so terrifying, and his primordial spirit energy is also so powerful. He is really a demon king. On the valley, the woman's jet-black eyes were filled with shock. The primordial spirit energy lingering in the sky above the valley only lasted for a while before it gradually disappeared and finally returned to normal. In the ancient palace, in front of Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged, silver electric arcs filled the space between his eyebrows. There was an illusory figure sitting cross-legged on a purple 9-petal lotus. It was Du Xiaofu's miniature illusory figure. The illusory figure seemed a little illusory, but it was wrapped in silver electric arcs and had an ancient aura. It was Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. An 8-star spiritual talisman master could condense a primordial spirit body. However, there were strong and weak primordial spirit bodies. For any cultivator, the primordial spirit had always been an illusory thing. Even the primordial spirit body condensed by an 8-star spiritual talisman master was extremely illusory. It was especially difficult for an 8-star origin spiritual talisman master to maintain a human form outside of the Naiwan Palace. At this moment, if other 8-star spiritual talisman masters saw the primordial spirit body condensed by Du Xiaofu, it was so solid that it was like a real thing. It would definitely be enough to shock them to the point of disbelief. On the 9-petal lotus, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit body moved. There seemed to be a silver sea of thunder rippling in his eyes, releasing a majestic aura. Qila. Then, as the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian turned into a palm-sized ball of silver lightning, it swept into Du Xiaofu's forehead in an instant. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's slightly closed eyes started to tremble as his primordial spirit entered his Naiwan Palace. Sitting cross-legged, Du Xiaofu's body trembled slightly. The majestic pressure of the origin spirit around him dissipated. He opened his eyes and white divine light shot out along with silver lightning. Then, it dissipated into his eyes and became clear again. Perfect 8-star talisman master. Du Xiaofu stood up. Feeling the changes in his Naiwan Palace, a smile appeared on his face. He did not expect that after obtaining the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian, he would be able to make a breakthrough and benefit his primordial spirit greatly. At this moment, he felt that the primordial spirit body sitting cross-legged on the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian in his Naiwan Palace had risen to another level. There was also a new aura. His primordial spirit had already merged with the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian. From the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian, Du Xiaofu felt a familiar aura. It contained the mysteries of thunder and lightning, allowing him to comprehend the mysteries of thunder and lightning with half the effort. Could the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian be the third treasure of Jinlei Tensei? Du Xiaofu heard from Sima Muhan that Jinlei Tensei had 3 treasures. Even his drunkard father had mentioned this. Among the 3 treasures, one was a weapon, one was a suit of armor, and the last one was only a legend left behind in the river of time. No one knew about it anymore. At this moment, Du Xiaofu guessed that Jinlei Tensei's 3rd treasure was the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian. Back then, Du Xiaoyao did not realize that the ordinary praying mat was actually the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian. It was enough to show how extraordinary the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian was. This time, Du Xiaoyao really made a mistake. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. If Du Xiaoyao knew that the praying mat it casually threw away was actually one of the most powerful treasures in the entire Divine Thunder Mansion, its expression would definitely be very good. Whoosh! A moment later, Du Xiaofu's figure flew out of the ancient palace and stepped into the sky above the canyon. He looked at a certain place and said softly, "Zijin, have you been here all this time? I have nowhere to go, so I've been waiting for you here. It has been more than 2 years. This time, you have been in seclusion for quite a long time." Zijin's beautiful figure rushed out from a corner of the gorge as her voice sounded. Soon after, she appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Looking at the purple-robed young man in front of her, Zijin was slightly stunned. Compared to 2 years ago, the purple-robed young man's temperament had changed a lot. There seemed to be something more. The feeling seemed to come from his soul, but it was not clear. The change was extremely mysterious. Could it be the change brought about by the breakthrough in the Talisman Dao? Zijin thought in her heart. She guessed that the change in Du Xiaofu's body might be due to the benefits he gained from the breakthrough in the Talisman Dao. It has been 2 years. Du Xiaofu's heart trembled when he heard this. Over 2 years was definitely not a short period of time. He never thought that 2 years would pass in the blink of an eye after he calmed down and comprehended it. Coupled with the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian, Du Xiaofu was worried about Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the others. He immediately asked Zijin, "What's the situation inside? Where are they? The space here should have already been closed. Everyone should have been pushed out a month later. I have something that Uncle Tingxian left for me, which is related to the Divine Thunder Manor. It allows me to move about freely here. Since you haven't been pushed out, you should have obtained some benefits here as well, which is why you weren't pushed out." Zijin looked at Du Xiaofu. She blinked her bright black eyes and said, "What do you plan to do now?" "Let's get out first." "But how can we get out of here?" Du Xiaofu frowned. It had been over 2 years. He did not know what was going on outside. He had to go and take a look first. "It's not difficult to get out. I have something that can get us out." Zijin nodded. "That's good." Du Xiaofu heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the alluring woman and asked, "Is there any news of my father? Uncle Tingxian probably hasn't come out of seclusion so early. As for where he is, I don't know either." Zijin shook her head. Afterwards, Du Xiaofu learned from Zijin that Zijin had also come to the Tianhuang continent to compete for the fortune in the Divine Thunder Manor. She had been trapped by an ancient formation and had broken out of it by chance when she met her drunkard father. The two of them had been together ever since. The legacy of the Divine Thunder Manor could have been obtained by Du Tingxian at any time. In order to attract people from the legalism, and also in the hope of drawing out Du Tingxian had opened up the ruins of the Divine Thunder Manor and attracted people from all over Kyushu, the Beast region, and the various large clans. So everything that happened on the Tianhuang continent was actually orchestrated by my drunkard father. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. If all of Kyushu's major factions and the Beast region found out that all of this had been arranged long ago, they would probably fly into a rage. The 8 continents were in chaos and evil demons were born. The 8 sealed lands were opened and the evil spirits within rushed out like dancing demons. The 9 underworlds were opened and the people were plunged into misery and suffering. Many places were like purgatory on earth. Although the major factions of the 9 continents sent out many disciples to kill the evil spirits, there were simply too many of them. Those terrifying evil spirits were even increasing in number at a terrifying speed. It was impossible to kill them all. The strength of the evil spirits' experts increased like a rocket. However, The major faction's top experts were apprehensive about something and didn't make a move. Thus, the evil spirits and the living beings of the world began to confront each other. Countless cities and empires gradually became demonic realms. Only the middle continent wasn't affected much. No evil spirits appeared in this chaotic world. However, the turmoil in the 8 continents made the one valley, 2 churches, 3 sects, and 3 schools not dare to be careless. The desolate country's imperial capital, Stone City. Multicolored light filled the air and dragon chi lingered. The energy of heaven and earth was dense like the sun. Humph, humph. As the sun set in the west, countless young men and women practiced martial arts in the Stone City. Loud and clear shouts echoed, revealing a sense of serenity. They are not friendly. In a quiet courtyard behind the Du family's mountain, Zhang Qingxuan's figure suddenly appeared. His eyes narrowed, and then he disappeared into the back of the mountain. Whoosh, under the setting sun. The space above the Stone City suddenly began to distort slowly. Then, dozens of figures slowly stepped out from the distorted space and walked directly into the Stone City's imperial palace. These dozens of figures descended and were all wrapped in dazzling light. The light halo was like the stars, and an ancient and terrifying aura rippled. Du Xiaofu, surrender. Among the dozens of dazzling figures, a loud shout came out and shook the Stone City. Accompanied by the terrifying aura rippling from his body, the sound was like a drum, piercing the eardrums of everyone in the Stone City and causing their hearts to tremble. Chapter 11:17. Whoosh whoosh. Many figures immediately flew out from the palace and hovered in the air. They were Medicine King Yi Wuming, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Mysterious Dragon King, Stone Turtle King, Golden Condor King, Extinction Sword King, Ice Python King, Dark Wolf, Phantom, Beast Killer, Soul Evil, and others. Judging from their auras, Medicine King Yi Wuming, Du Yunlong, Phantom, Extinction Sword King, and others had all improved a lot over the years. They seemed to be those terrifying experts. Feeling the auras of the dozens of figures, Medicine King Yi Wuming and the others immediately frowned with grave expressions. The auras of the dozens of people were the same as the terrifying clan that had come to the Stone City a few years ago. My third brother is not in the Stone City. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to return if you look for my third brother? Du Xiaoman said. She had guessed the identities of those people. They did not come with good intentions, but they were extraordinary and powerful, which made her feel grave. Not here? Then bring a few people back. Let that brat come to us himself when the time comes. Don't waste time. An old man said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and grabbed towards Du Xiaoman. As the claw swept down, monstrous runes surged and a bright light covered the sky. The claw print wanted to tear through space and immediately arrived in front of Du Xiaoman. Under the terrifying claw print, violent energy ripples surged. The terrifying pressure made the faces of the citizens who had surged out from the Stone City change. Big sister, let me do it. Du Yunlong stepped out in front of Du Xiaoman. Although he knew that the opponent was strong, he was not afraid. Lightning swept around him, and a terrifying aura exploded. Thunder and lightning raged, as if a god of thunder had been born. In the next moment, a dazzling lightning radiance spread out from Du Yunlong's body. The monstrous lightning exploded, causing the entire Stone City to flash with lightning and thunder. The terrifying aura brought about an unparalleled killing aura. Du Yunlong condensed a fist and directly activated the Thunder Martial Vein. This fist was also wrapped in lightning. In the blink of an eye, the fist and claw directly collided. Suddenly, a low muffled sound resounded in the sky. The entire Stone City flashed with lightning and thunder. Boom, boom. The muffled sound was like thunder, and it was deafening. The runes and lightning energy, martial vein runes, and thunder spread. The vast energy swept across the sky like a flood. The entire Stone City shook. Poochie. Amidst the monstrous energy, Du Yunlong's figure was pushed back several dozen feet before he could stabilize his body. Blood spurted out from his mouth, and his face was deathly pale. Are you okay? Du Xiaoman immediately rushed to Du Yunlong's side with a worried look on her face. Her beautiful face was ethereal, and her eyes were solemn. I'm fine. Du Yunlong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stood up straight. His robe was fluttering and his eyes were extremely sharp. At that moment, the old man staggered a step back. However, he looked as if he had seen a ghost. What a terrifying martial vein. It's related to thunder. Even though he has just become a martial venerable, he can withstand 30% of my strength as a complete martial venerable. The old man muttered softly. He was shocked. His cultivation was at the peak of complete martial venerable. 30% of his strength was enough to suppress or even kill a martial venerable in the nirvana realm. However, he was unable to do anything to the young man. In particular, the young man's terrifying martial vein made his heart tremble. It was definitely not an ordinary martial vein. Since you're here, come out. As Du Yunlong's figure retreated, Zhang Xingchuan's figure appeared out of thin air from the distorted space in mid-air. His gaze was fixed on the space behind the dozens of people. Brother Qingchun is here. Seeing that Zhang Xingchun had arrived, Du Xiaoman and the others were secretly delighted. Their tightly knitted brows relaxed a little. Holy Array Prodigy, I've heard of you. This time, I've come especially for you. I hope you won't disappoint me. As his voice fell from the void, a figure suddenly turned into a human-shaped lightning and pounced directly at Zhang Xingchun. The terrifying aura rippled out and distorted the entire stone city. It was as if it wanted to crush all the living things in the stone city. Boom! Suddenly, before Zhang Xingchun could make a move, a terrifying aura suddenly trembled in the sky. The aura fell from the 9 heavens and suddenly froze the space. Then, it imprisoned the lightning-like figure on the spot. There was a dazzling ray of light that landed on the former's body like a thunderbolt. As the ray of light landed, the former's figure, who had just pounced, fell from the sky with a mouth full of blood. Finally, he slammed hard on the ground of the stone city below. Rumble. It was an old figure. The ground shook and cracks exploded. Rubble surged, and the surroundings were shocked. What a terrifying expert! Zhang Xingchuan's expression did not change, but his heart trembled violently. The dozens of terrifying experts were all shocked at this moment. They were all trembling with fear. The evil demon has appeared. Kyushu is in chaos. A great calamity is coming. Heaven and earth will perish. The 9 cauldrons will not gather. The 9 families will not come out. Remember the oath and avoid the calamity. The faint voice was filled with age, and then it disappeared. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing the reason. Only the dozens of people's faces changed drastically. Someone rushed down and helped the old man up. Then, the dozens of people looked at each other and did not dare to stay any longer. What's going on? Looking at the dozens of terrifying experts leaving in a panic, countless people in the stone city were puzzled. Zhang Xingchun looked at the sky. The setting sun enveloped him, and his body was bathed in golden light. Then, he waved his hand at Medicine King Wuming and the others below and said softly, "Everyone, disperse." At night, the sky was full of stars. The mountains were connected, and the aura here was ancient and boundless. Under the cover of the moonlight, a woman stood quietly in front of a courtyard on a mountain peak. 2 strands of black hair gently fluttered in the wind. Wrapped in a light green dress, her slender waist outlined a graceful and moving arc. The woman stood quietly, her eyebrows curved. She looked at the starry sky, and her eyes were bright. She said softly, "Why hasn't that guy made a move for so long? Elder Kong, help me pay attention to his movements." "Miss, who do you want to pay attention to?" In the night sky, an old man's voice sounded, and there was a hint of a smile in his voice. Other than him, who else? The woman turned her head and stared at the night sky, as if a real immortal had descended to the mortal world, untainted by the mortal world. Her delicate red lips parted slightly, and she said, "While you're at it, keep an eye on legalism and the dragons. That guy has killed many legalism, including Dragon 9. I'm afraid that he has caused a lot of trouble. The dragons and legalism haven't made a move yet, but that doesn't mean that they'll let it go." The woman's bright eyes changed color under the moonlight, revealing a kind of majesty. "Miss, we can't interfere in the matters of the outside world. The elders have told you many times." The old man's voice continued to sound, reminding the woman, "I don't care, or I'll go out myself." The woman's delicate face darkened, and her eyes released a star-like brilliance in the night sky. She said, "I can't let anything happen to him. Neither the dragons nor legalism will do." In the depths of the night, the old man was silent for a while, and then his voice sounded helplessly, "All right, I'll secretly pay attention and try not to alarm the elders." "Thank you, Elder Kong. I knew you'd help me." The woman immediately smiled. That smile was soul-stirring, like the blooming of an epiphyllum in the moonlight. "That kid is indeed quite capable. Dragon 9 was killed, and Han Ming was no match for him. This surprises me more and more." The old man's voice continued. "Of course, he's the Demon King," the woman said with a smile. The woman smiled. Her long dress fluttered in the night breeze. She was like a fairy standing in the moonlight. Then, she bit the corner of her lips and a strange look appeared in her eyes. She murmured, "It's been so long since we last met. Wait until I break through to the next level. I'll go find you." Somewhere in Tianhuang mainland, a dazzling light appeared in the night sky. The light faded, and then two figures darted out. The two figures were a man and a woman. The man was dressed in a purple robe, and his face was resolute and determined. His eyes were clear and bright. The woman was charming, and her curves were graceful and seductive. Her dark eyes were filled with radiance in the night sky. This man and woman were Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin, who had walked out of Jinlei Tensei's residence. "Where are we going now?" After looking around, Yi Zijin looked up slightly and asked Du Xiaofu, "Let's go back to the Stone City first, but we have to go to Tianhuang City to find the wormhole." Du Xiaofu frowned. Tianhuang mainland was not close to the middle continent, and it would take a long time to travel through space. They could only take the wormhole. Yi Zijin nodded. Mystic chi shot out from the soles of their feet, and they immediately disappeared into the night sky. Chapter 11:18. Early in the morning, everything was silent. The heavenly wasteland city was just a small city. Ever since the divine Thunder Manor disappeared and the experts of Kyushu left, the bustling crowds in the heavenly wasteland city no longer existed. However, the heavenly wasteland city was the only way to enter the heavenly wasteland mainland, and also the habitat of the heavenly wasteland mainland. As a place where many cultivators gathered, there were many businesses and it was quite lively. When Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin arrived in the heavenly wasteland city, they first inquired about the recent happenings in the outside world. Only then did they learn that the sealed grounds in the land of Kyushu and the 8 continents had all been opened. Evil demons were born and evil spirits were everywhere. Many places had already become demon territories, and the entire Kyushu was in turmoil. "I wonder if there are any purple thunder shin cauldrons in those sealed grounds?" Du Xiaofu frowned. There were sealed grounds in all 8 continents and evil spirits had broken out of the seals. If there were purple thunder shin cauldrons in those sealed grounds, then all of them should have appeared by now. Back then, the illusory figure of the master of the 3,000 worlds in the purple thunder shin cauldrons had said that if all 9 purple thunder shin cauldrons fell into the hands of the evil demons, then the entire world would become demon territories. "You did that?" Looking at Du Xiaofu's grave expression, Yi Zijin asked. "It's nothing. Let's think of a way to return to the middle region first." Du Xiaofu came back to his senses and smiled. The middle region seemed to be the least affected now. The heavenly wasteland country must be fine for now. He was relieved. The wormholes in the heavenly wasteland city have all fallen into the hands of some powerful people. "I'm afraid it will cost a lot of magnetite," Yi Zijin said to Du Xiaofu. "The magnetite is not a problem. It's good that we can return to the middle region smoothly." Du Xiaofu laughed. With his current status, he was no longer the foolish young master from Shicheng. No matter how expensive it was to open a wormhole, Du Xiaofu wouldn't care too much about it. Although the heavenly desolate city was no longer crowded, it was still very lively. There were also rules in the heavenly desolate city. It was the only place of residence in the entire vast Tianhuang mainland, and no disputes could be resolved in the heavenly desolate city. Otherwise, they would be jointly attacked by the major forces in the heavenly desolate city. Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin were in the city, so it wasn't difficult for them to find out about the wormhole. Those wormholes were dominated by the major forces in the heavenly desolate city. Those forces included trading companies, wormholes, and many spiritual herbs on Tianhuang mainland. The benefits were immense. It was also enough to show that these forces were not ordinary. Otherwise, they would not have been able to control the chain of interest in their hands. On the bustling street, the sounds of shouting and hawking converged into a clamor. Du Xiaofu conveniently bought a lot of spirit herbs and refining materials from some shops and stalls in case he needed them. In addition, he also wanted to bring some spirit herbs and cultivation resources back to Stone City. Some rare spirit herbs and heavenly materials and earthly treasures, as well as many rare demonic beast bones of Kyushu, could be found in the heavenly desolate city. Du Xiaofu was overjoyed. He bought a lot of things in succession and then planned to leave. At this moment, a day gradually passed as Du Xiaofu inquired about information and bought treasures. At dusk, when the sun set in the west, Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin left the heavenly desolate city. According to the information they inquired, the two of them went out of the city to the wormhole, intending to set off for the central plains. Those wormholes were not in the heavenly river city. Swoosh, swoosh. As soon as Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin left the city, they left. At the same time, outside the heavenly river city, several figures also looked at each other with joy in their eyes. They were like wild wolves that had found food. All of them spread out their bodies and silently followed behind the group. The night was getting darker and darker, and the afterglow of the setting sun gradually dissipated. The entire land was about to be completely covered by the curtain of night. Swoosh, swoosh. Several figures appeared in a mountain range. They were 6 burly men with fierce auras. The leader of the group was a burly man with a few tattoo-like runes on his neck. His face was full of muscles, and he exuded a fierce and violent aura. Where are those 2 kids? Why are they missing? The burly man's muscles trembled, and his eyes were full of doubt. It was impossible for those 2 kids to escape with the 6 of them tailing them. You've been chasing them for so long. Are you done? But at this moment, an indifferent voice sounded. At the same time, Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin appeared in front of the 6 people. Seeing Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin suddenly appear, the 6 people trembled inwardly. They were all experienced people. The fact that someone could escape while being tailed by them meant that he was not an ordinary person. However, when the 6 of them saw Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin's age, the worries in their hearts relaxed. 2 young children, it was unlikely that they could be that strong. Hand over your Chinkuan bag, and we can consider sparing your lives, the burly man said. They had been tailing the purple-robed young man all the way from the city. They had seen with their own eyes that the purple-robed young man in front of them was very generous and had many treasures on him. They could not fight in the heavenly wasteland city, so they followed him out of the city. At this moment, night had fallen, and there were few people around. It was a good time to make a move. You want my Chinkuan bag? Do you think you can do it? Du Xiaofu glanced at the 6 people in front of him with a calm expression. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile, but there was an undisguised ridicule in his smile. Boy, if you don't know what's good for you, you can only die, the burly man said coldly. He did not know why, but when he looked at the purple-robed young man's smile, he felt his heart palpitate for no reason. However, they were not weak. They often robbed people on the way in the heavenly wasteland mainland. The 6 of them had worked together and had not failed so far. Leave your Chinkuan bags, and you can go. Du Xiaofu shook his head. His purple robe shook, and a majestic aura spread out. Among the 6 people in front of him, 2 of them were martial venerables at the beginner level. The remaining 4 had 3 martial royal realm experts at the peak of the perfection martial royal realm, and 1 7-star perfected talisman master. The lineup was indeed not weak. However, Du Xiaofu did not even have the desire to make a move against them. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the 6 people were obviously stunned and looked very surprised. Oh, he's really not afraid of death. I guess he's from a big sect and is used to being spoiled. A rather fat and short burly man was stunned and then laughed. That girl is really as beautiful as a fairy. Kill the man and leave the girl. If you can't bear to kill her, she can serve us brothers well." A skinny, middle-aged man with a wretched gaze and shifty eyes stared at the beautiful woman in front of him like a fairy. His heart began to tremble. "Shameless person. I can't let him live." Hearing this, Easy Jean's delicate face darkened. Her dark eyes surged with coldness as she walked towards the skinny, middle-aged man. Chi. In just a few short steps, Easy Jean crossed the space and arrived in front of the skinny, middle-aged man in an instant. With a shake of her slender hand, celestial chi surged and runes flew out, shining brightly. She attacked directly. The skinny, middle-aged man didn't expect that this fairy-like woman would actually make a move so directly. The skinny, middle-aged man immediately counterattacked. His aura exploded and his celestial chi surged out. Chapter 11:19. What the skinny, middle-aged man did not expect was that he had no power to fight back against the beautiful woman in front of him. The surrounding space was sealed, and the terrifying aura made his primordial spirit tremble. Boom! The space trembled. Easy Jean waved her hand, and the space in front of her exploded. The skinny, middle-aged man, who was only at the peak of the martial emperor realm, had no power to fight back. His body was destroyed and exploded. Boom! Easy Jean didn't stop. Under the astonishment of the 5 people in the surroundings, a dazzling rune flew out from her graceful and delicate body. Dazzling light poured out, causing the 5 people to stiffen. Its power was enough to freeze space and imprison space. "Oh no, we have encountered an expert." The 5 people's faces changed and they began to fight back. They used their strongest techniques and activated their pulse spirits. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the space, illuminating the night sky. Easy Jean's expression did not change. The bright rune in front of her released a pressure that burned brighter and brighter. It was like a bright moon falling from the sky, exploding the space and causing the earth to rumble. Bang, 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 bang. The low explosions sounded like a series of firecrackers. The space exploded one after another. The 5 people were also swallowed by the shattered space. Their bodies were crushed into a bloody mist. The 5 people were killed by Easy Jean in a short time. As the bloody mist exploded, many Chinkuan bags fell into Easy Jean's hands. Peak of the Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu, who was not far away, had a shocked expression. Following the aura that Easy Jean released when she attacked, he was able to confirm that Easy Jean's cultivation strength had actually reached the peak of the Nirvana realm. This cultivation strength was comparable to the strongest existences like Bailey Wuya, Yu Zheng Tongxian, Hua Zimo, and Feng Wuxia, who were above Kyushu. "All right, we can go now." Easy Jean's beautiful figure traversed through space and arrived beside Du Xiaofu. She was calm and composed, and there was a smile in her eyes. She didn't take what had just happened to heart. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. It seemed that this beautiful woman was also a malefic star. Although she had the temperament of a banished immortal, she was not careless in the slightest when she took action. Regarding Easy Jean's cultivation strength, Du Xiaofu was even more shocked in his heart. He and Easy Jean walked out of the Stone City at the same time. Over the years, he had gone through countless hardships and obtained many opportunities to reach his current cultivation level. It wasn't hard to guess what Easy Jean had experienced in the outside world all these years. A moment later, the 2 figures appeared in front of a wormhole. Back when Du Xiaofu had first arrived in Tianhuang mainland, he had fought with the Heaven Saber sect and killed Shueqianzhan because of Dongli Qingqing. When he came here again, Du Xiaofu thought of Dongli Qingqing. For some reason, she had left without saying goodbye again. The wormhole was controlled by many forces in Tianhuang City. It could lead to Kyushu, but it consumed a lot of energy. Therefore, the fee was even more shocking. It was enough to bankrupt an ordinary expert of the martial royal realm at the peak. However, it was not a problem for Du Xiaofu now. It was just a piece of cake. The wormhole opened, and the 2 entered it to return to Zhengzhou. "I hope this wormhole won't collapse." Looking at the misty light around the wormhole and the fluctuating airflow, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of Dongli Qingqing's accident back then. The wormhole wasn't absolutely safe. Once it collapsed, the consequences would be unimaginable. You also have times when you're afraid. Yeezy Jean smiled when she heard Du Xiaofu's muttering. Of course I'm afraid. I don't want to compete with the wormhole. Du Xiaofu stared at her. Fortunately, the wormhole was stable. When the two came out of the wormhole, it was already morning. They were in an unfamiliar big city. Du Xiaofu found out from the wormhole that this place was called Celestial City. It was quite far from the dark forest. This place was southwest of Zhengzhou and was the territory of Xindu Gate. Early in the morning, the city was bustling with noise. The bustling Celestial City attracted Yeezy Jean's interest. She wandered around and bought many women's accessories. Du Xiaofu could only follow behind her. He smiled bitterly. Fortunately, they were already in Zhengzhou. It didn't matter if they returned to Stone City for a while. Ding dang. Suddenly, a terrifying aura came from the sky above Celestial City. Swoosh swoosh. Sensing that aura, everyone in Sky Tribute City looked up into the sky. Then, under everyone's gaze, in the sky outside Sky Tribute City, many figures flew through the air, traversing through space. Welcome, Elder. In Celestial City, there was a majestic building. Many figures rushed out and bowed respectfully. After inviting the Elder into the city, the large number of figures landed on the majestic building. It's the experts from Xindu Gate. They came really quickly. That lightning lion is too strong. The Chao family lost many experts. In the end, the Chao family's experts took action and suppressed the lightning lion. They want to give it to Xindu Gate. I heard that the lightning lion is a mutated beast. It's comparable to the top demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list. The Chao family obtained such a treasure and gave it to Xindu Gate. Aren't they too stupid? You don't understand. The news that the Chao family obtained an extraordinary lightning lion has already spread. It's only a matter of time before the news reaches Xindu Gate. They might as well give it to Xindu Gate. When the time comes, the Chao family's status in Xindu Gate will naturally rise. Following the arrival of many experts from the Immortal Capital sect, there was a lot of discussion in the streets and alleys. Hearing the discussions, Du Xiaofu and Yeezy Jean seemed to have thought of something. Instantly, they looked at each other, their eyes fluctuating. Not long ago, in the Thunder Reaper Mountain, a junior of the Chao clan discovered that a thunder lion was breaking through and wanted to sneak attack it to steal the mystic bone. However, many of them were killed by the thunder lion in the end, which infuriated the Chao clan. They sent out many experts to suppress and capture the thunder lion. Now, the Chao family intends to give the lightning lion to Xindu Gate. The experts from Xindu Gate must have come to bring the lightning lion back. Moments later, in an inn in Celestial City, the waiter stared intently at the elixir in Du Xiaofu's hand. How strong is the Chao family? Du Xiaofu frowned slightly before continuing to ask. The Chao family is extremely powerful. Celestial City is just one of their territories. The Chao family came from Celestial City and secretly controlled several empires. Several members of the Chao family are entrenched in the Imperial Palace. It is said that one of the ancestors of the Chao family was the Grand Elder of Xindu Gate. Hence, they are closely related to Xindu Gate and no one dares to offend them. The waiter replied seriously. When he mentioned the Chao family, his eyes were filled with respect and fear. The Chao family was the master of the entire Celestial City. To the Chao family, Celestial City was their ancestral land. Everything belonged to the Chao family. The other factions in the city, big and small, relied on the Chao family to survive. All right, you may leave. Du Xiaofu passed the elixir to the waiter and waved his hand to indicate that he should leave. Thank you, sir. The waiter received the elixir. It was an elixir that he could not afford even with several years of his salary. After thanking him profusely, he immediately left happily. Do you think that the lightning lion is Leizu? Yeezy Jean's jet-black eyes trembled. The lightning lion in Stone City had protected the Yi family for hundreds of years. The younger generation of the Yi family called him Leizu to thank him for his protection. After that, Leizu left Stone City to search for opportunities. There had been no news of him ever since. Now that she heard about the lightning lion, Yeezy Jean naturally could not remain calm. If Leizu was captured by the Chao family, she naturally could not stand by and do nothing. I can't be sure whether that is the lightning lion or not. Du Xiaofu frowned. The lightning lion was not only to him, but also to his drunkard father. Let's go to the Chow family. After a while, Du Xiaofu's clear eyes flashed. If that lightning lion was really the lightning lion, he naturally could not stand by and do nothing. Not to mention the Chow family, if it was really the lightning lion of Stone City, even if it was a conflict with the Shindu Gate, he would not let it go. The Chow family was the master of Celestial City. They controlled several empires and had the imperial chi of the imperial palace. The huge Chow family was majestic and lofty. It was majestic and resplendent. It was definitely not inferior to the imperial palace. Looking from afar, one could feel a surging aura that would affect the minds of those who were weaker. Chapter 11:20. Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin arrived at the entrance of the Chow clan. Gazing at the huge Chow clan, their expressions froze. "Who are you?" As the two of them approached, outside the Chow clan, a young man clad in armor shouted. His aura was domineering, even more so than the guards of the imperial palace. "I heard that the Chow clan captured a lightning lion. I would like to meet it," Yi Zijin said to the young man. "Presumptuous, who do you think you are? The lightning lion captured by the Chow clan is not something you can meet just because you want to." The young man leading the group glared at Yi Zijin. The Chow clan was powerful. Other than the 3 sects and 3 factions, they didn't need to care about the other powers. All the members of the Chow clan had always been domineering, especially in Sky Tribute City, the ancestral home of the Chow clan. "I'll let you pass the message. Don't be too arrogant," Yi Zijin said to the young man. The lightning lion was most likely Leizu. She needed to meet it. "Since you're a woman, I'll let you off this time. If you want to meet the lightning lion, why don't you marry me? Then you'll naturally be able to meet it. Our future children might even be able to use the lightning lion's blood essence to form their meridian spirit. If you don't leave, don't blame me for being merciless." The young man sneered, looking at Yi Zijin. If it was someone else, he would have already attacked. The Chow clan didn't allow anyone to barge in. That was the prestige of the Chow clan. "I'm being polite, but you're making things difficult for me. You even dare to speak such arrogant words to disrespect me. Looks like I don't have to be polite to you." Yi Zijin's expression turned serious. She was worried about Leizu. Her temperament became even more cold as she stepped forward. "You dare to barge into my Chow clan and act so presumptuously? Let me see how strong you are. If you are qualified, I will marry you into the Chow clan." The fierce young man was still delusional as he stared at Yi Zijin. As soon as he finished speaking, he formed a seal with his hand and sent a palm seal towards Yi Zijin. Boom! In the next instant, under the shocked gazes of the surrounding people, no one could clearly see that the fierce young man from the Chow family did not even get close to the beautiful woman before his body was sent flying. Poochie! The fierce-looking young man spat out a mouthful of blood as he crashed heavily onto the ground several dozen feet away, causing the ground to crack. His eyes were filled with fear as he struggled several times, but was unable to get up. This young man had not even reached the martial lord realm. He was only at the peak of the pulse spirit realm. How could he be a match for Yi Zijin? Just the aura from Yi Zijin's body alone had sent him flying. "Quick, inform the experts in the clan. You dare to barge into my Chow clan. Join forces and attack." In the next instant, the remaining few young men were all at the pulse spirit realm. Their profound chi gushed out as they attempted to join forces to deal with Yi Zijin. Yi Zijin swept her gaze across them as the aura from her body was released. An invisible wave spread out in the air, sweeping out like a tidal wave. Poochie poochie. Several young men at the pulse spirit realm were sent flying as their souls trembled. The gap between the pulse spirit realm and the martial sovereign realm spanned across several worlds. Swoosh swoosh. As the few young men were sent flying, the Chow clan sent out a notice. As the aura fluctuated, a large number of figures immediately flew out and landed on the square. Over 100 figures landed and swept their gazes across the square. When they saw that several young men were seriously injured, their faces instantly turned ugly. Then, their dark gazes landed on Yi Zijin and Du Xiaofu. Roar! As the 100 figures flew over, an astonishing lion's roar suddenly rang out from within the Chow clan. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the depths of the Chao clan. The surrounding energy of heaven and earth surged towards the depths of the Chao clan. Hearing the lions roar from within the Chao clan, the 100 over people's faces turned gloomy as they sized up Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin with caution. A middle-aged leader of the group, a martial emperor at the Nirvana realm, asked Yi Zijin and Du Xiaofu, "Who are you? I'm afraid you'll have to pay the price for being so presumptuous in the Chao clan." "I don't think you can make the decision. Ask the head of the Chao clan to come out. I want to see the thunder lion that you've captured." Yi Zijin spoke as the faint aura on her body fluctuated. She no longer concealed her aura. A martial sovereign. Sensing the fluctuating aura on Yi Zijin's body, the middle-aged martial emperor at the Nirvana realm changed his expression. The young lady in front of him was actually a martial sovereign. "Ninth uncle, let me do it." At that moment, a feminine voice sounded from within the Chao clan. A young man in embroidered clothes had already landed in front of the middle-aged man. The young man looked to be in his late 20s. His handsome face carried a feminine aura. His body was slender and thin, but his eyes were suffused with a strange brown light. When the middle-aged man saw the young man in embroidered clothes, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked back into the Chao clan and asked worriedly, "Chaoji, where's your father, grandfather, and the elders of the Shindu Gate?" "Something happened to the Thunder Lion. My father, grandfather, and the elders are here. They won't be able to cause much trouble." The young man named Chaoji did not care. He glanced at the few severely injured young men of the Chao clan in the square and frowned slightly. Then, he looked at Yi Zijin and said, "I don't care who you are. Since you dared to touch the people of the Chao clan, then today you'll..." Suddenly, Chaoji's voice came to an abrupt halt. His gloomy eyes rippled violently as he looked at the young man in purple robes standing not far behind the beautiful woman. His soul trembled violently. How could he forget that young man in purple robes? He had been present in the sealed land as well. He had personally witnessed how domineering that young man in purple robes was. 2 years ago, on the Tianhuang continent, he had also entered the Divine Thunder Manor and obtained a fortuitous encounter there. As a result, he had also seen the young man in purple robes slay Dragon 9 on Mount Thunder. He had slaughtered dozens of people of the same generation from a reclusive clan. How vicious was that? Although the Demon King Du Xiaofu had not appeared in 2 years, he had always been an insurmountable mountain in the hearts of his peers. And now, the Demon King Du Xiaofu had appeared outside the Chao clan. Chao Ji's eyes trembled and his body trembled. He could not even speak clearly. Seeing Chao Ji's reaction, everyone in the Chao clan immediately looked at Du Xiaofu in surprise. They did not know why Chao Ji would have such a big reaction. After being recognized, Du Xiaofu slowly walked up to Yi Zijin and nodded. After which, he turned to Chao Ji and said, "The Chao clan captured a thunderclap demonic lion. It might be related to me in some way. I wish to meet with it. Is that possible?" Chao Ji's fluctuating emotions calmed down. He looked at Du Xiaofu with a hint of fear in his eyes. He knew that he could not stop the Demon King at all. 2 years ago, Dragon 9 had been killed. That was the descendant of a true dragon at the level of Beast Venerable. The Chao clan had captured a lightning lion, but they had not completely dealt with it yet. If the lightning lion was really related to the Demon King, Chao Ji was afraid that the Demon King would not let it go. "Wait a moment. I will go and report to the elders of my clan." Chao Ji gritted his teeth and said to Du Xiaofu without a trace. No matter what, he had to stall for time. The elders of the Chao clan were suppressing the lightning lion. He had to go and report to them first. Roar. As Chao Ji's voice fell, a shocking lion roar came from the depths of the Chao clan. The roar was fierce and angry. Monstrous arcs of lightning filled the sky, mixed with a faint golden light, exuding a domineering aura. Bang, bang, bang. Shocking muffled sounds of energy came from the depths of the Chao clan. It seemed that a fierce battle was taking place. That aura, it is without a doubt the lightning lion. Du Xiaofu suddenly raised his head and looked at the golden light amidst the lightning in the depths of the Chao clan. That familiar aura was also related to the Golden Winged Rock. It must be the lightning lion from the Stone City. Swoosh, swoosh. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, Profound chi shot out from the soles of his feet, and he immediately pounced towards the Chao clan. Yi Zijin's beautiful face was solemn as she immediately followed behind Du Xiaofu. Not good. We are in trouble. Chao Ji's face changed, and he immediately turned around to enter. Roar. The vast plaza was surrounded by dazzling runes and was enveloped by a symbol array. A lightning lion that was several feet in size was roaring. Its entire body was covered in golden lightning, and it was being suppressed by 3 martial honorables. It was tightly bound within the symbol array. The lightning lion roared, and natural energy from the heavens and the earth rushed down from the sky. It continuously poured into its body, causing its aura to become stronger and stronger. This lightning lion is too strange. It has definitely mutated. Its power is too strong. It wants to continue to break through. Once it breaks through, it will be difficult for us to suppress it. Attack with all your might and completely suppress it. The 3 martial honorables attacked. Dazzling runes surged, and together with the symbol array, they suppressed the lightning lion. The lightning lion roared, and its entire body exploded with electric arcs. Dazzling light shocked the heavens. The shocking beast roar was like a surging wave that shook the heavens and the earth. Roar, roar. The lightning lion's roar was like a vast tsunami that covered the heavens and the earth. The terrifying electric arcs carried a golden light, and it was like a raging wave hitting the shore. It was like the sun had exploded, and it resisted the attacks of the 3 martial honorables and the suppression of the symbol array. The surrounding plaza was torn apart. Some of the boulders exploded and turned into fine powder. If it were not for the symbol array, the entire plaza would have been destroyed. Chapter 11:21. Although the Thunder Lion was terrifying, it was greatly affected by the breakthrough. The 3 martial honorables were also very strong. One was a mysterious martial honorable, one was a nirvana martial honorable, and the last one was a complete martial honorable. If the 3 martial honorables did not want to capture the Thunder Lion alive, it would have been suppressed long ago. Roar. The Thunder Lion roared. Its eyes filled with anger. Its eyes were like a sea of thunder. Under the joint attack of the 3 martial honorables, the Thunder Lion's aura became weaker and weaker. Its aura also stopped rising. The 3 martial honorables were preventing it from breaking through. Suppress. The complete martial honorable in his 70s exploded with bright runes and suppressed the Thunder Lion. His aura distorted the space and suppressed the Thunder Lion. Chila. Suddenly, a beam of golden light fell from the sky like a bolt of golden lightning. It instantly swept toward the perfect martial honorable. Who is it? The complete martial honorable's expression changed. He immediately turned around, and the runes that were suppressing the Thunder Lion condensed into a light screen in front of him. Chi-la-la. The golden light collided with the rune light screen and pierced through it. The golden light runes then disappeared. Ding ding. However, the body of the Peak Grandmaster staggered back hundreds of feet before stabilizing his body. The other 2 martial honorables and many martial royal realm cultivators suddenly changed their expressions. They looked in the direction of the gaze and saw a young man in a purple robe appear in the square. When the young man appeared, his gaze did not fall on the people around him. Instead, he looked at the rune array in the square. A rune array, the young man in the purple robe muttered. He waved his hand, and a handprint began to condense in his hand. Mysterious runes surged out and turned into more than 20 mysterious runes. They flew out from his palm and landed around the square. Rumble. As the 20 mysterious runes flew out, more than 20 formation flags around the square were forcefully pulled out. The runes were uprooted, and bright runes shot into the sky before shattering. Senior Thunder Lion, don't worry about breaking through. Leave this place to me. Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at the majestic lion. It was wrapped in lightning and emitted a golden light. It was the Thunder Lion Senior from the Stone City. Leizu, don't worry about breaking through. Zijin will protect you. Yi Zijin's figure landed in the square and bowed to the Thunder Lion. Her black eyes were filled with sharpness. Are the 2 of you? The heavens are helping me. The Thunder Lion spoke. Its ancient voice was filled with a domineering aura. Without the suppression of the charm array, the thunder demonic lion's body suddenly began to expand. In an instant, it turned into a huge body that was hundreds of meters tall. The violent energy fluctuation and pressure spread out, causing people's hearts to palpitate and their hair to stand on end. The thunder lion's aura started to rise again, and it continued to break through. Bang! Golden lightning surged. It was as though thunder was rumbling in the sky above Sky Tribute City. The energy ripples were like the descent of a thunder god, causing the entire Sky Tribute City to tremble. Countless figures flew out and looked at the Chao clan. At that moment, the three martial honorables were looking at Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin. Their faces changed, and they did not dare to attack. Whoosh! Chao Ji's figure hurried over. His gaze swept across the square, and his expression became even more solemn and ugly. After that, Chao Ji hurried to the side of the three martial sovereigns and whispered something, causing the three martial sovereigns' expressions to change greatly. So it's the young hall master of the 7-star hall. How dare you barge into my Chao clan? Are you relying on your relationship with the ancient heaven sect? A martial venerable, who was about the same age as the peak martial venerable who had been pushed back by Du Xiaofu, heard Chao Sui's words. Then, he raised his head and looked at Du Xiaofu. His gaze flickered and was slightly gloomy. Du Xiaofu looked at the old man and did not pay much attention to him. He said, "I'll settle this with you later. If you want me to destroy your Chao clan, you can continue to provoke me." The old man's face turned cold when he heard this. However, the change in his expression showed that he was afraid. He had heard that this kid even dared to kill the descendants of the dragons. Would the Chao clan not dare to do anything? Du Xiaofu, my friend, I am Jieyu of the Shindu Gate. I am an inner sect elder. I have heard of your name. Now that I have met you, you do live up to your reputation. The peak martial honorable who had been pushed back by Du Xiaofu spoke with a smile on his old face. This must be a misunderstanding. I didn't expect the Thunder Lion to be related to you. This is fate. No discord, no concord. Why don't we let this go? Elder Jieyu, the Nirvana martial honorable of the Chao clan who had just spoken, changed his expression. The Thunder Lion was extraordinary. If he could get his hands on its blood essence and bones, the Chao clan would improve. However, he did not expect Elder Jieyu to want to keep the peace. Although Du Xiaofu had a strong background, the Shindu Gate was not afraid of the ancient heaven sect. Clanmaster Chaosong, this is all a misunderstanding. Let's just let it go. Elder Jieyu interrupted Chaosong. No one could detect the change in his eyes. Elder Jieyu had his own judgment. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was not easy to deal with. Not to mention the 7-star hall and the ancient heaven sect behind him. The Demon King was someone who even dared to touch the dragons. The Thunder Lion was definitely a treasure. However, it was definitely not worth angering the little Demon King for a Thunder Lion. Whether it's a misunderstanding or not, let's talk about it after I, Leizu, break through. Yi Zijin spoke. Leizu was trapped and surrounded by several people. If he had been late, the consequences would have been unimaginable. This made Yi Zijin really angry. Elder Jieyu, whether it's a misunderstanding or not, let's talk about it later, Du Xiaofu said to Jieyu. The Shindu Gate's Elder Jieyu had already lowered his attitude. Du Xiaofu did not make things difficult for him. However, this matter was related to the Thunder Lion. Du Xiaofu could not make the decision. However, just the fact that the three martial saints had joined forces to suppress the Thunder Lion and prevent it from breaking through was enough to make Du Xiaofu angry. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Elder Jieyu frowned. He had heard about the Demon King Du Xiaofu's strength from the other elders of the sect. At such a young age, Du Xiaofu's strength was extraordinary. It was enough to be called the #1 person in the same generation as Kyushu. No matter what, it would be troublesome to provoke the little Demon King today. Boom! In the vast square, the Thunder Lion's aura rose to an extreme level not long after. After a short pause, the aura in the sky surged and stepped into a new realm. Roar! The huge Thunder Lion's body coiled up in the air. Its huge lion head roared and opened its ferocious mouth. With this earth-shattering roar, it swallowed the heaven and earth energy crazily from all directions. At this moment, the heaven and earth energy in the surroundings surged crazily, as if it was being swallowed by a huge force. It condensed into a huge black stream that endlessly surged into the Thunder Lion's ferocious mouth. As the heaven and earth energy was being swallowed, the electric arcs on the Thunder Lion's body became denser and denser. Chi-la-la, torrential destruction enveloped the entire Sky Tribute City, causing the city to tremble unceasingly. The roars of beasts and the veins of martial cultivators trembled. Is that the Thunder Lion? What a terrifying Thunder Lion. It seems to be breaking through. The living beings in Sky Tribute City trembled in fear. The terrifying aura enveloped the entire city, causing them to want to prostrate themselves on the ground. Complete sovereign beast. Du Xiaofu looked at the huge Thunder Lion in the sky above the square. Its aura had already reached the level of complete sovereign beast. Such a terrifying improvement made Du Xiaofu suck in a breath of cold air. How long had it been? Compared to the cultivation of the beasts, the Thunder Lion's cultivation progress and knowledge were heaven-defying. Senior Thunder Lion must have obtained a huge opportunity in these years. Otherwise, it would not be able to improve so quickly. Du Xiaofu thought to himself. The huge Thunder Lion floated in the air, swallowing the heaven and earth energy for half an hour before it began to slow down. Then, the Thunder Lion's huge body gradually shrank, finally turning into a majestic old man in a robe with lightning patterns. He looked to be in his 60s or 70s. Huff, the Thunder Lion exhaled a mouthful of turbid air from its stomach, bringing with it golden lightning. Then, it opened its eyes. Chi golden lightning shot out from the Thunder Demonic Lion's deep eyes. It was as if two bolts of lightning had materialized and pierced through the space in front of it. Then, it slowly disappeared. Zijin greets Leizu. Seeing that the Thunder Lion had successfully broken through, Zijin's cold face finally showed a smile. She stepped forward and bowed. Greetings, Senior. Du Xiaofu bowed. The Thunder Lion in front of him was not only a benefactor to him, but also to his drunkard father. The Thunder Lion had protected Stone City for hundreds and thousands of years. It was worthy of respect. Haha, why are you two here? It seems that you have had your own opportunities in these years. The Thunder Lion laughed. Its voice was old and deep, like a bell. It looked at Du Xiaofu and Zijin with kind eyes. It could see that Du Xiaofu and Zijin were not ordinary people. Looking at the Thunder Lion beast that had already taken human form, the experts of the Chao family and the Immortal Capital sect all had ugly expressions on their faces. The Thunder Lion had broken through to the level of a complete beast venerable. It was obviously a mutated Thunder Lion. Although it had just broken through to the level of a complete beast venerable, it was far more powerful than an ordinary complete martial venerable. Leizu, it's good that you're fine. Zijin smiled and relaxed. The old man in front of her was Leizu of the Yi family. He had protected Stone City and the Yi family for so many years. In the eyes of the Yi family, he was their ancestor. Don't worry, Leizu is fine. These guys can't really do anything to him. The Thunder Lion patted its chest as it spoke, after which, it swept its gaze across the crowd. It waved its hand at Zijin and Du Xiaofu and said, "You guys step back first. I still have things to settle." Chapter 11:22. As soon as he finished speaking, the majestic figure of the Thunder Lion leaped out, his eyes fixed on Chao Tsong and Elder Jieyu. His voice was like thunder as he roared, "You shamelessly ambushed me while I was in the midst of a breakthrough. It's time to settle this score." It's all a misunderstanding. Shindu Gate has always had a good relationship with the Ancient Heaven sect. Young friend Du Xiaofu is also a disciple of the Ancient Heaven sect. I'm sure you don't want this misunderstanding to cause friction between the Ancient Heaven sect and Shindu Gate, right? Elder Jieyu asked Du Xiaofu with a serious gaze. Elder Jieyu was old, but he was also shrewd. He knew that Du Xiaofu, the Thunder Lion that had just broken through to the level of Beast Venerable, and the young woman were no ordinary people. If they were to fight, they would be no match for them. Since this matter is a misunderstanding with Shindu Gate, then it naturally has nothing to do with Shindu Gate. However, since it's between my senior Thunder Lion and the Chao family, let them settle it. I won't interfere. I don't think the Shindu gate will interfere either, right? Du Xiaofu walked to a spot not far from Elder Jieyu. Intentionally or unintentionally, he blocked the former's path with his aura. His eyes seemed harmless, but he was clearly warning Elder Jieyu that if the Shindu gate interfered, he would not stand idly by. This, Elder Jieyu was at a loss for words. He didn't expect Du Xiaofu to not only be powerful, but also have a sharp tongue. He actually followed his words and separated the Chao family from the Shindu gate. Jieyu pondered. If he interfered now, it would seem as if the Shindu gate was interfering. However, if he didn't interfere, the Chao family and Chao Tsang would not be able to do anything to the Thunder Lion that had just broken through. Therefore, Jieyu was in a dilemma, taking advantage of others' difficulties. Shameless to the extreme. It's time to settle the score. The Thunder Lion had a fiery temper. As soon as it finished speaking, streaks of lightning surged out of its body. In the end, it transformed into a lightning net that enveloped its body. Chila. The lightning was like countless silver snakes shuttling back and forth. Along with the overbearing golden light, the thunder demonic lion suddenly stomped its foot. A lightning as thick as an arm shot towards Chao Tsang, who was at the martial venerable nirvana realm. Chao Tsang's expression was ugly and gloomy, but he had no choice but to brace himself and resist. Boom! Bursting with runes, Chao Tsang activated a magic treasure that had probably reached the beginner level. However, he was directly knocked back by the Thunder Lion. Magical artifacts are not enough. The Thunder Demonic Lion roared. Lightning flashed in its eyes. Dazzling golden electric arcs exploded. Its majestic body was like a ghost. In the blink of an eye, one by one, the superpowers swept towards Chao Tsang with a terrifying aura. Chao Tsang was forced to retreat. Even with a magic artifact, he was unable to resist the Thunder Lion beast. Roar! In the end, Chao Tsang could only activate his pulse spirit. The ferocious shadow of the strange beast was like a living creature. It carried a monstrous aura and swept towards the Thunder Lion beast. Facing the former's pulse spirit, the Thunder Lion beast did not take it to heart. A fist wrapped in golden lightning, with lightning flashing and thunder rumbling, directly bombarded the huge shadow of the strange beast. The beast's pulse spirit was shattered. The overbearing and destructive power of the thunder could destroy everything. With his pulse spirit shattered, Chao Tsang spat out blood. His body was continuously knocked back. At the same time, the Thunder Lion Beast's shadow took the opportunity to close in and landed a heavy punch on Chao Tsang. Chao Tsang quickly dodged. A large number of runes rushed out and hurriedly avoided his vital parts. However, the lightning fist print still landed heavily on his shoulder. Chao Tsang spat out blood again. His body fell from midair. Boom! Chao Tsang's body fell. Like a meteorite, the square exploded. A large area of the Chao family's courtyard collapsed and turned into dust. That is a terrifying battle. The Chao family has a super expert. In the Sky Tribute City, the densely packed figures trembled. The terrifying aura from the Chao family rushed to the heavens and enveloped the entire city, causing everyone to tremble. Father! As Chao Tsang's body fell, a 50-year-old old man shouted. The mysterious aura of a martial honorable exploded out, and a grave and fierce look appeared in his eyes. The aura of the 50-year-old old man exploded. Runes shone brightly, and a stream of profound chi gathered in his hand to form a strange palm print. With the power of thunder, it fiercely slammed towards the Thunder Lion beast. Just as the old man's body moved, a beautiful figure appeared in front of him. The person who came was precisely Yi Zijin, who was in charge of the formation. Her jet-black eyes suddenly surged with a bit of coldness, and a peerlessly powerful profound energy erupted like a flash flood, covering the sky and covering the earth as it swept through. This aura was that of a Nirvana realm martial honorable, following which, the beautiful figure's slender hand trembled. Bright runes wrapped around it, and it quickly met the old man's palm print. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the two collided. In an instant, the place where they collided shook and a low, muffled sound rang out. Bam! A deafening explosion sounded out, accompanied by bright and vigorous energy ripples. From the point of collision of the two palms, the ground below cracked open like a spider web. The 50-year-old old man's body was like a kite with a broken string. His body flew backwards and smashed into the ground. The Chow family's courtyard was smashed into pieces, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. That lady is actually so powerful. Many experts of the Shindu Gate, led by Elder Jiayu, sucked in a breath of cold air. The beautiful lady was young, and she was probably only 1 or 2 years older than Zhang Ruolin. However, her strength was not below Zhang Ruolin's. How terrifying was her talent? Where did the lady beside Du Xiaofu come from? The central region had never heard of such a terrifying younger generation. Imprisoned. At the same time above the square, the Thunder Lion was still attacking. A thunderous claw erupted. Just after Chao Song was shaken down, the thunderous claw shrouded Chao Song's elementary-level magic weapon and forcibly imprisoned the 3-foot-long ancient sword that was covered with ancient runes. Golden thunderbolts burst out from the Thunder Lion's palm. It was as if it could naturally suppress and destroy the soul imprint. With absolute power, it destroyed the soul imprint on the ancient sword and finally put it into the Qinkuan bag. After his soul imprint was forcibly stolen and erased, Chao Tsang spat out blood again. He was seriously injured and his soul was injured. He was on the verge of death and his face was frighteningly pale. All of this did not last long. The Chao family was defeated and could not be defeated at all. Elder Jia Yu's expression was not good. He wanted to intervene, but he could only forcibly hold back. The situation in front of him made Jia Yu very clear. Once he intervened, the Demon King Du Xiaofu would not stand by and watch. With the Demon King Du Xiaofu's temper, the consequences would undoubtedly be more serious when he started a massacre. Xiaofu Zijin, let's go. After forcibly seizing a magic weapon, the Thunder Lion's anger had subsided a lot. It did not pay attention to Jia Yu and signaled Du Xiaofu and Yi Zijin to leave. Elder Jia Yu, we will meet again someday. Du Xiaofu nodded and smiled at Elder Jia Yu. His smile was harmless to humans and animals. Elder Jia Yu helplessly nodded and smiled, but the smile on his old face was somewhat stiff. In fact, today was the first time Jia Yu had come into contact with Du Xiaofu. However, from the words of the other elders and what he saw today, the Demon King Du Xiaofu was definitely much more difficult to deal with than the Thunder Lion. That kid was the true master of eating people without spitting out the bones. Soon after, the Thunder Lion, Du Xiaofu, and Yi Zijin's figures swaggered off. After a few flashes, they disappeared from the sky above Sky Tribute City. Elder Jiayu, my father and grandfather were heavily injured, and their magic weapons were also stolen. That Du Xiaofu is so arrogant that he doesn't put Shindu Gate in his eyes at all. Could it be that our Shindu Gate is really afraid of him? Chao Tsang came to Elder Jiayu's side and looked in the direction that Du Xiaofu and the others left. His face was very gloomy, and his heart was filled with coldness. However, he knew that he was not the Demon King's opponent. Elder Jiayu looked at the Chao and Tsang duo, who had already been helped up by the experts from the Chao clan. The expression on his old face was naturally ugly. Sigh. After a moment of daze, Elder Jiayu sighed and said to Chao Tsang, that Thunder Lion is related to that Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Your Chao family has angered that Thunder Lion and Du Xiaofu. If it wasn't for the Shindu Gate, do you think that Thunder Lion and Du Xiaofu would let this go? I heard that hundreds of direct disciples of the Great Wheel sect were killed when they angered Du Xiaofu. Do you think that he wouldn't dare to touch your Chao family? After pausing for a moment, Elder Jiayu continued, you guys should suffer a little loss to keep the peace. Don't provoke that Du Xiaofu anymore. Chao Tsang's eyes trembled when he heard this. His eyes twitched a few times, but he didn't say anything in the end. There was a shocking commotion in the Chao family. Many courtyards were destroyed, and the experts of the Chao family were heavily injured. Naturally, this couldn't be hidden. Everyone in the city was guessing what kind of expert the Chao family had offended. Even the elder of the Shindu Gate couldn't scare off such an opponent. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. Not long after, the news of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu's appearance in the Chao family spread. Only then did people know that the Chao family had offended the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. No wonder the elder of the Shindu Gate couldn't scare them off. In the calm sky, three figures flashed and appeared in front of them. It was Du Xiaofu, Thunder Lion, and Easy Jean. Senior Thunder Lion, if you're still angry, you don't have to worry about the Chao family. In midair, Du Xiaofu said to the Thunder Lion King, "Let's go." The Chao family and the Xindu Gate have a close relationship. The Xindu Gate is not to be trifled with. You seem to know the people of the Xindu Gate. The people of the Xindu Gate said that you're from the Ancient Heaven sect. Could it be that you've joined the Ancient Heaven sect? Thunder Lion asked Du Xiaofu. He knew that the Xindu Gate and the Ancient Heaven sect were both huge forces. It was also because of this that he went easy on the Chao family. Chapter 11:23. I only know some people from the Xindu Gate. Du Xiaofu spoke. He then told the Thunder Lion and Easy Jean about how he left the Stone City, how he entered Tianwu Academy, the Ancient Heaven Sect, the Seven-Star Hall, as well as what happened between the Stone City and the Stone Dragon Empire. Back then, I knew that you would not be a fish in a pond. Sooner or later, you would soar into the sky and spread your wings. Who would have thought that you would reach such a level in such a short time? The Thunder Lion sighed. Its eyes flashed with golden lightning. Easy Jean didn't say anything, but after listening to Du Xiaofu's general explanation, her delicate face was constantly fluctuating. She had only just heard about the situation in the Stone City from Du Xiaofu. The Stone City is not an ordinary place. Now that the two of you have walked out, the Stone City is destined to be famous. The Thunder Lion looked at Du Xiaofu and Easy Jean and sighed. Back then, these two were just young men and women in the Stone City. Now, both of them had reached such a level. With such talent, their future was limitless. Senior Thunder Lion, you must have had many fortuitous encounters these years, right? Du Xiaofu asked with a smile. For the Thunder Lion to reach such a terrifying level in these few years, it was definitely heaven-defying. I have been in the demon domain all these years. I found the ancestral land of the Thunder Lion clan and obtained the inheritance of my ancestors and the benefits left behind by the Thunder Lion clan. It is also thanks to the Golden Rock blood that I was able to reach such a level. If not for the fact that I was at a critical juncture, I would not have been trapped by the Chao clan. The Thunder Lion nodded. If it was purely cultivation, these few years would not have been enough for him to reach such a level. As the three of them talked, they flew through the air. With their cultivation, they flew through the air and headed back to the Stone City. Night. The bright moonlight decorated the night sky. Stars dotted the night sky. The night sky was like a boundless sea. It was quiet, vast, and mysterious. Suddenly, in a mountain range, a purple light was like a small spark rippling in the night sky, flickering and jumping with tiny dots of light. Then, the purple light became more and more dazzling and resplendent. The sky trembled for no reason as a terrifying purple brilliance spread out. Then, a graceful figure appeared. It was an extremely beautiful woman with slender fingers and creamy skin. However, there was a hint of purple in her snow-white skin. The eyes on this woman's beautiful face were like two purple moons in the night sky. The woman quietly appeared in the night sky. Her purple clothes fluttered in the wind, and there were faint shadows of purple flames on them, outlining her seductive figure and the temperament of a banished immortal. Her moving appearance, alluring figure, and charming bearing were all gathered on this woman, and it was sufficient to make any woman envious and cause all men in the world to be dazed. The woman appeared. Her purple eyes scanned the surroundings, and in the end, she looked behind her. Her voice was heavenly and ethereal. She said, "Little star, don't drag it out." "Mother, I'm not stalling." Space rippled behind the woman, and a young girl's voice rang out, "Chi-la." Then, golden light flickered in the air, and starlight filled the entire night sky. A petite figure also appeared. She was a little girl about 5 or 6 years old. Her red dress was surrounded by countless star patterns. Her blue-black hair was tied up in a ponytail behind her small head. She was like the ruler of this space, exuding a noble aura. The little girl appeared. On her pink face, there was a faint golden brilliance in the depths of her eyes. There was a vertical rune mark between her brows, which added a hint of evilness to her nobility. Looking at the moving woman in front of her, the little girl said, Mother, are we really going to find father? You've been using the excuse of comprehending and cultivating. 3 years have passed. The woman looked at the little girl and frowned. Her voice was faint like the sound of heaven. Mother, what if father doesn't have the doping bone? The little girl's big watery eyes blinked, revealing mischief and cuteness. However, at this moment, she was looking at the moving woman with worry. Above those watery eyes, two curved eyebrows were like small crescent moons, and neatly arranged thick and long eyelashes outlined the crescent moon. She said, "When the time comes, you won't really attack father again, right? Mother, in the future, you're not allowed to call that human father. Otherwise, don't call me mother." The moving woman glared at the little girl. As her voice faded, her purple dress swayed, and a pair of slender and beautiful legs swayed. In the next moment, a purple flame fluctuated, and a beautiful figure swept across the sky. Father can't beat mother. So troublesome. The little girl's face was childish. Her big eyes blinked, and her gaze seemed to be able to melt people. Then, her small figure swept across the sky and followed. The stone city was no longer the same as before. It was vast and had become a land of treasures. Those who could cultivate in the stone city would be able to obtain great benefits. It's really changed a lot. When the Thunder Lion and Yeezy Jean's figures appeared outside the stone city, they looked at the vast and majestic stone city and were amazed. The energy of heaven and earth is dense. There's a great treasure in the stone city. The Thunder Lion discovered that there was an absolute treasure in the stone city. The energy of heaven and earth was much denser than in other places. Let's go back. If everyone knows that Senior Thunder Lion is back, they will definitely be happy, Du Xiaofu said. Then, he, the Thunder Lion, and Yeezy Jean flew back to the city. Not long after, the news of the return of the founding Rock Emperor, the guardian of the Stone City, the Thunder Lion, and the eldest daughter of the Yi family, Yeezy Jean, spread like wildfire in the Stone City. Once the news spread, it immediately caused an uproar. The old residents of the Stone City all walked on the streets to celebrate. The Yi family and the palace were also filled with joy, bathing in joy. In the palace hall, Du Xiaofu sat upright. The imperial dragon Qi lingered around his body, carrying the power of heaven and earth. Greetings, Emperor. In the hall, the important officials of the desolate country bowed. The Extinction Sword King, Golden Condor King, Stone Turtle King, Mysterious Dragon King, Phantom, Beast Killer, Evil Soul, Dark Wolf, Chao Yu, Han Xian, and the others were present. In the World Society, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Medicine King Yi Wuming, and the others were present. From Murong Yurua, Du Xiaofu found out that the desolate country was prosperous and the people were peaceful. Under the leadership of the East Vanquishing Prince, the South Vanquishing Prince, and the Medicine King Yi Wuming, the rebuilding of the Tianwu Academy was gradually taking shape. The location of the Tianwu Academy was still in the Dark Forest, the ruins of the Tianwu Academy. Currently, many young men and women in the desolate country were sent to the Tianwu Academy to study. However, if they wanted to completely rebuild the Tianwu Academy, it would take some time. It wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. The general, Gu Xinyan, Gua Xiaofeng, Wu Kei, Ghost Child, Li Yuxiao, and the others had gone out to train. In the World Society, Yi Piaoling, Qin Guyu, Silver Condor, Silver Fox, and Stone had also gone out to train for several years. All in all, both the desolate country and the World Society were developing rapidly. All the experts in the World Society and the desolate country had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few years and had made great progress. They had all gone through the divine lightning body tempering and had improved tremendously. In the main hall, Du Xiaofu distributed the benefits he had obtained from the Tianhuang mainland and the cultivation resources he had purchased to the important officials of the desolate country and the core experts of the World Society. The rest was handed over to the Medicine King Yi Wuming, second brother Du Yunlong, and Murong Yurua to manage. Everyone was excited and pleasantly surprised by the astonishing benefits they had obtained. That clan came not long ago. They did not come with good intentions. They came for you, third brother. Du Yunlong spoke and briefly told Du Xiaofu about the arrival of that clan. In the end, Those people were scared away by a mysterious expert. Legalism. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes immediately darkened. A great majestic aura surged out from him and faint dragon roars could be heard around him. A moment later, Du Xiaofu arrived at the back of the mountain and saw his eldest brother, Zhen Qingchun. "You're the last to come out again." When Zhen Qingchun saw Du Xiaofu, his slightly wretched but charming eyes did not have a pleasant expression. Last time in the sealed land, Du Xiaofu was the last to come out. This time on the Tianhuang mainland, this kid was the last to come out again. This made Zhen Qingchun worried. Legalism is here again. Fortunately, there are still people in this world who can restrain them. However, they have come to find you time and time again. I'm afraid they won't let this matter rest. Once there's a chance, they will make things difficult for you again. Zhen Qingchun said to Du Xiaofu with a serious expression. He knew how tyrannical and powerful the great clans were. Is there anyone who can suppress the 9 great clans? Du Xiaofu was somewhat curious. The strength of the 9 great clans was unquestionable, but he did not expect that there would be someone in this world who could suppress them. It can't be considered suppression, but there is a legend. At that time, the world was in turmoil, and the people were plunged into misery and suffering. That was the end of the world. That great calamity was closely related to the 9 great clans. One day, a supreme expert arrived and stopped the slaughter with his own strength. He also intimidated the experts of the 9 great clans and made them swear to abide by their promise. Otherwise, the 9 great clans would never appear on Kyushu. Zhen Qingchun looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "At that time, the person who intimidated the legalism might be a powerhouse who knows about that legend. As for who he is, I don't know. Legalism. This debt will be settled with them sooner or later," Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. His eyes flashed with coldness. When his drunkard father comes out, he will definitely kill the legalism. The 8 continents are already in turmoil. Smoke of war is rising everywhere. Many places have already turned into devil domains. It is rumored that the devil race has already awakened. A great calamity is coming to this world. Zhen Qingchun slightly frowned. Although the middle continent had not been harmed by the evil spirits, the undercurrents in the world had already begun to surge. Although those evil spirits are strong, if the top powerhouses of the 8 continents take action, it should not be too difficult to clean up those evil spirits. Du Xiaofu was somewhat doubtful. From the information he had received, although many places in the 8 continents had already turned into devil domains, the top powerhouses of the 8 continents had not yet taken action. If the top powerhouses of the 8 continents took action, it would not be impossible to clean up those evil spirits. Chapter 11:24. The top experts of the various major factions are probably all in seclusion right now, seeking a breakthrough and preserving their strength. They're afraid that when the great calamity really comes, those evil spirits are still not a real threat to them. Zhen Qingchun said to Du Xiaofu. Those big shots all had their own thoughts and would not easily make a move. The fire hasn't really burned them yet. I'm afraid no one wants to be the first to make a move. Du Xiaofu sighed. The evil spirits of the 8 continents had come out to wreak havoc, but the ones who were truly unlucky were still the masses. Did you get any benefits from the Divine Thunder Manor? Zhen Qingchun asked Du Xiaofu. Coming out 2 years later, Zhen Qingchun was not willing to believe that this guy had not gotten any benefits. Du Xiaofu smiled. He naturally had nothing to hide from his big brother Zhen Qingchun. He told Zhen Qingchun about the silver net soul-devouring thunder he had obtained on the Tianhuang continent, the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian, as well as Jinlei Tensei's slightly incomplete state of mind and lifetime of comprehension. Hearing this, Zhen Qingchun was dumbfounded for a long time, unable to recover from his shock. How could he not know what kind of heaven-defying fortuitous encounter those benefits were? Leave. Let me have some peace and quiet. After a long time, Zhen Qingchun gave the order to leave. He needed to be alone and calm down. All the good things in this world were taken by this brat alone, and his talent was so terrifying. The others could only be ashamed and unable to show their faces. Du Xiaofu chuckled and left. Then, he went to see his big uncle Du Zhixiong and second uncle Du Zhenwu, and brought news of his father to them. It's good that old third is fine. Du Zhixiong, and Du Jinwu were happy. They finally had news of their old third and breathed a sigh of relief. Du Jinwu and Du Zhixiong's cultivation had improved tremendously over the years after awakening their lightning martial veins. The cultivation resources of the Du family were no longer the same as before. The entire Du family was growing at an astonishing speed. Among them, the younger generation led by Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Du Yu, Du Shui, Du Hao, Du Gue, etc., were already famous in the entire central province. All these years, the burden of the entire Du family has been on your shoulders. Xiaofu, it's been hard on you. Du Jinwu looked at the purple-robed young man in front of him. His resolute face and clear eyes under his sharp brows reminded him of his third brother. Du Jinwu's heart ached. All these years, the entire Du family had relied on this young man. If not for this young man, the Du family would not have such a status today. I am a disciple of the Du clan. The blood that flows in my body is the blood of the Du clan. This is what I should do. Besides, big sister and second brother have done much more than me. Du Xiaofu smiled. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Du Zhixiong smiled at Du Xiaofu and said, your aunts know that you have returned and are making your favorite food when you were young. The elders in the family have specially requested to see you. They also hope that you can take the time to guide your cousins in their cultivation. Yes, I will go now. Du Xiaofu nodded and then went to the backyard. Many elders and aunts of the family came out to welcome him from afar. Xiaofu, child, why have you become thinner again? But you seem to have become a lot more muscular. This child is becoming more and more like Ting Xian. The aunts and aunts of the family happily gathered around him. Big brother Xiaofu. Many young men and women of the Du family also gathered around, their eyes filled with admiration and respect. The young man in purple was their cousin. He was the famous demon king Du Xiaofu of Kyushu. He was the leader of the younger generation and the backbone of the Du clan. Looking at the smiling faces in front of him, Du Xiaofu's heart overflowed with warmth. Third brother, the Yi clan head and Misty Jean are here. The Bai and Qin clan heads are also here. Du Xiaoman arrived at the backyard. Her dark eyes were as clear as a stream of water. She had an indescribable aura of purity and elegance. She was dressed in a provocative manner, and her long, straight, and muscular legs were silently enchanting. They are not outsiders. Big sister, let them come to the backyard to meet us. Du Xiaofu nodded. After a while, Yi Zijin, Yi Baolin, Bai Jiru, and Qin Zongqiong arrived. They had a close relationship with the Du family. Under the Du family's support, the three clans had improved rapidly and obtained great benefits. They had long been tied together with the Du family. I heard a lot from my father. It seems like you have lived a wonderful life these years. At dusk, the sun was setting in the west. Yi Zijin looked at the sky in the back of the Du family's mountain. Her long skirt and hair fluttered in the wind. It's all in the past. Du Xiaofu shook his purple robe and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He looked at the vast stone city and the surrounding wilderness. Yi Zijin didn't say anything. She turned around and looked at Du Xiaofu. She had heard from her father about the changes and dangers of the Stone City and the Cheng family in the Stone Dragon Empire. Her dark eyes flickered with emotions. What do you plan to do in the future? Du Xiaofu smiled and asked Yi Zijin. Not yet. Yi Zijin looked at Du Xiaofu and said, I heard from Uncle Tingxian that you have a younger sister. Is she your twin? Yes, her name is Xiaojing. Du Xiaofu nodded. His clear eyes were filled with expectation. After a while, he said, It won't be long before I can see her. Night began to fall. Stars began to appear in the sky. I'll go back first. I will be in the Stone City for a while. If you want to find me, just send someone to call me. As Yi Zijin's voice faded, her cheeks blushed for some unknown reason. Then, she moved her body and flew away. After Yi Zijin left, Du Xiaofu stood on the mountain peak for a while. Then, he suddenly frowned. His eyes narrowed and a trace of purple flame flickered in them. Whoosh! His figure disappeared. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared again, he was already outside the Stone City. His eyes flickered with purple flames in the night sky. Seems like she's here. The space fluctuated. Zhun Qingchuan's figure appeared. His inverted triangular eyes rippled. Qi, A ray of light flashed in front of them like a rainbow. Then, two figures, one big and one small, appeared in front of them in a few flashes. "Dad!" The young voice was filled with excitement. As the voice fell, a petite figure quickly appeared in Du Xiaofu's line of sight. The petite figure was wearing a red dress with countless star patterns surrounding it. She appeared to be 5 or 6 years old. She opened her eyes on her chubby face, and there was a faint golden light deep within her eyes. There was a rune imprint erected between her eyebrows, adding a tinge of evilness to her nobility. She was little Xingxing, who had left with the purple flame demonic phoenix. Little Xingxing. Looking at the little girl before him, Du Xiaofu's heart leaped with joy. Even after so many years, this little girl still looked the same. She did not seem to have grown up at all. After so many years, he had always missed her. "Dad, your cultivation state seems to have improved quite a bit. Did you miss me?" Little Xingxing's blue-black hair was tied into a ponytail behind her head. On her chubby cheeks, a pair of watery eyes blinked playfully. Looking at Du Xiaofu happily, she walked over to Du Xiaofu's side intimately. "Of course I missed you." Du Xiaofu patted the back of the little girl's head. This little girl's aura was unfathomable. He did not know how strong she was right now. With her talent, Du Xiaofu did not even dare to guess. "That's more like it." Hearing this, little Xingxing chuckled. Above her watery eyes, her eyebrows were like crescent moons. Her long and thick eyelashes formed the shape of a crescent moon. She then whispered into Du Xiaofu's ears, "Dad, Mom is here too. She looks fierce, but that's not the case. You'll have to act according to the situation later." Chapter 11:25. Chi. Following Little Star's words, a purple rainbow slowly descended. The rainbow receded, and a beautiful figure slowly appeared. She wore a purple robe that outlined her alluring curves. Her eyes were like purple suns, as if they could see through everything in the world. When he saw the woman in front of him, Du Xiaofu's heart trembled. This was a woman with a moving appearance, a seductive figure, and a celestial aura. She could make men lose their souls. This charming woman was none other than the purple flame demonic phoenix. However, the appearance of this charming woman made Du Xiaofu's heart tighten. When the purple flame demonic phoenix woman appeared, her purple eyes looked at Zhen Qingchun. Her eyes moved slightly, and she said in surprise, You seem to have improved quite a bit again. You should be able to break through that step soon." Zhen Qingchun looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix and said, "I'm still a little lacking." "Chi." The purple flame demonic phoenix said softly, her voice like a celestial voice. Then, her purple eyes looked at Du Xiaofu and asked, "It's been more than 3 years. Have you prepared the bones of the great Peng I want?" Chi. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly, shook his head, and said, "No, the bones of the great Peng are too hard to come by. I haven't met any other golden-winged Pengs, so I can't help you find the bones." Chi. But the time you agreed to is up. If you don't have the bones of the great Peng, then I can only take what you have. Chi. The voice of the purple flame demonic phoenix became clear and cold. As her voice fell, her purple dress fluttered and she took a few steps forward. Her slender and beautiful legs swayed and her figure was graceful. Her aura began to fluctuate within her body. "I've already said that the bones of the great Peng have been broken and merged into my body. You can't take it away now, and I don't intend to give my life to anyone." Chi. Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a smile, and a faint golden light overflowed from his eyes. "I'm afraid this is not up to you." The purple flame demonic phoenix's purple eyes darkened a little. As her voice fell, a handprint wrapped in purple flames condensed on her slender hand. The blazing purple flames were like purple lava erupting. It was incomparably hot and distorted the space. "Mother." Little Xingxing's petite body immediately blocked in front of Du Xiaofu. "If you fight, it won't do you any good," Zhen Qingchun said to the purple flame demonic phoenix, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Although the violet flame fiendish phoenix hadn't truly broken through to the beast region, once it attacked, Stone City would be within reach. With the violet flame fiendish phoenix's terrifying talent, it would probably be razed to the ground. This worried Zhang Qingchun. Furthermore, the violet flame fiendish phoenix's strength wasn't something it could easily deal with. The purple eyes of the purple flame demonic phoenix were cold as it stared at Little Star and Zhang Qingchun. Its purple eyes were silent for a while. Then it looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "The 3 years you promised is up. You went back on your word. Others can't protect you for the rest of your life. Are you going to hide under others' protection forever?" "Indeed, I went back on my word. This is my fault." Du Xiaofu smiled and pulled little Xingxing to his side. Looking at the charming woman in front of him, he said, "But I can't hand my life over to you. How about this? I don't have the rock bone, but I do have a bone that's not much better than the rock bone. I'll give it to you to study and comprehend for a while as compensation for breaking the contract. I'll find the rock bone for you as soon as possible." The violet flame demonic phoenix was silent for a while. Her head of purple hair cascaded down her shoulders, all the way to her perky buttocks. Her slender, straight legs outlined a beautiful, mature arc. She looked at Du Xiaofu, her eyes like purple suns. After a while, she asked Du Xiaofu, "What kind of secret bone do you have?" "You'll know when you see it." As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, he took out an object from his storage ring. It wrapped around a talisman, then flew to the violet flame demonic phoenix's side, accompanied by a faint dragon's roar. Sensing the aura, Zhang Qingchun watched from the side. His spirit also rippled. "This is sensing the aura." The violet flame demonic phoenix waved her hand and immediately wrapped it in her palm. She carefully examined it. Her purple eyes rippled as she exclaimed, "True dragon's secret bone."
Yes.
"That's right, the true dragon bone. Before I find the golden-winged great pung bone, I can let you study this bone." Du Xiaofu said. He hadn't even studied the true dragon's secret bone yet, but even with his big brother, Zhang Qingchun, Du Xiaofu had to be careful. This was Stone City, the desolate country. If he attacked, the consequences would be unimaginable. Du Xiaofu knew that although the violet flame demonic phoenix hadn't truly stepped into the beast region, it was definitely not to be trifled with. The level of this true dragon bone isn't high. It should only be at the level of a complete venerable beast. The dragon pattern isn't complete yet. Besides, I'm a bird, so the golden-winged rock bone is most useful to me. However, this true dragon bone isn't bad for me either. The violet flame demonic phoenix looked at Du Xiaofu. Her voice was cold and her expression was calm, as if all of this was natural. Then she said, 2 years. I'll give you 2 more years. After 2 years, I'll come back for the great rock's secret bone. 2 years, Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He hadn't even had time to study the true dragon's secret bone yet, and now it had fallen into the hands of that woman. "Little Star, do you want to come back with me?" The violet flame demonic phoenix put away the true dragon's secret bone and asked Little Star, "Mother, I want to stay by Father's side for a while. Why don't you stay? When Father finds the great rock's secret bone, he can give it to you immediately." Little Star looked at the violet flame demonic phoenix with her faint golden eyes and pouted. She wanted to stay and hoped that her godmother would stay. "I'm going back to study the true dragon's secret bone. If you want to stay, I'll come back for you." After the violet flame demonic phoenix finished speaking to Little Star, she looked at Du Xiaofu. Her purple eyes were gorgeous, and her body was emitting a purple brilliance. Her purple eyes were somewhat demonic. She said, "Take good care of Little Star. Otherwise, I won't let you go either." When she finished speaking, that graceful purple figure was wrapped in purple flames. Like a purple star shining, she crossed the space and disappeared. "Mother, take good care of yourself." Little Star shouted loudly. Her faint golden eyes were filled with reluctance. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. He had finally sent that terrifying woman away. That woman was even more beautiful than Dongli Qingqing, Qi Shi, and Murong Yurua. Her complex temperament and charm could make any man's heart beat faster. However, no man could get close to her. It was better to stay as far away as possible. "Golden-winged great rock secret bone. Where can I find it?" After exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. First of all, the golden-winged great rock secret bone was a treasure among treasures. If any sect really had the golden-winged great rock secret bone, they would definitely hide it very deeply. It was impossible to take it out for exchange. Even if he met someone from the golden-winged great rock clan, Du Xiaofu thought that he might not be able to do anything. Even if he could, he still had the blood of the golden-winged great rock in his body. He couldn't just directly attack. How troublesome, Du Xiaofu thought about it and felt a headache. That's the true dragon's secret bone. Sigh. Beside Du Xiaofu, Zhen Qingchun sighed. Her painful expression clearly showed that she was also distressed at this moment. Father, is there anything to eat? I'm a little hungry. Father. Little Star raised her little head. Her faint golden eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. Bottomless pit. What do you eat at your godmother's place? Du Xiaofu muttered. But he had already taken out a lot of elixirs and stuffed them into Little Star's hands. It was obvious that he doted on her. I've eaten all the elixirs at godmother's place. There's nothing good to eat. Little Star smiled embarrassedly. She took the elixirs and stuffed them into her mouth. She chewed on them like she was eating snacks. Seeing this, Zhan Qingchuan's eyes were also filled with astonishment. The next morning, the morning sun was hazy. Light clouds covered the sky, and the Savage Beast mountain range was partially visible in the distance. The mountains were silent. When the clouds rose, the towering peaks were like elegant flowing notes. The chirping of birds echoed in the thousands of mountains and valleys.